Yeah. Yeah. Come and never sleep on me. Eyes on my chain 숙여 너의 고개를 what you looking at fool 너의 눈 허리 멍청했고 find your comfort from another yeah. I go low like undercover yeah. Wanna know my name 죽지 않은 일은 위에 부어버려 기름
Go. What's up, everyone? So, of course, you got me. My name is Jonathan Lonham, or should I say, my name is Jonathan Lonham, and introduce my boy Colton Flatt, the man that men want to be and women want to be with. Colton,
You,
say
John.
hello to everyone.
Thank you for that introduction, John. And I'd like to introduce our special guest host, hopefully reoccurring, Mr. Caleb Mabry.
What's up?
So, today, what movie are we going over, boys?
Goldfinger.
Goldfinger. And I thought it was the Spy Who Shagged Me, Colton.
It was the Spy Who Shagged Me, pretty much.
So, go ahead. Sorry.
No, well, I was going to say to that point, I noticed that this movie kind of, it really dawned on me last night why this movie is spoofed so much, because it really leans into the fantastical elements as opposed to like Dr. No for Mercy with Love. So I thought that was worth pointing out.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great observation. I totally agree. If you watch Dr. No and From Russia with Love, they're more toned down, more gritty spy adventures, and Goldfinger is just straight up.
They really lean into the fantasy.
You know, talking about Goldfinger, this has been used so many times, but I'm going to say it. Goldfinger's kind of like it's the gold standard of Bond movies. It's the one that every new Bond movie wants to at least to be as good as. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And honestly, y'all know that I love all the Bond movies, but I don't believe a lot of them live up to as good as Goldfinger is.
No.
What are your thoughts, Caleb?
Oh, it's like I was telling y'all before we started. I really want to reconsider my rankings because maybe it's from viewing it through a more mature lens. It's, I don't know, dude. It's just so good.
Yes.
Like I told my wife when we got done, I was like, I really wish modern Bond movies like made me feel this way.
I know.
Because, yeah.
Yes.
Because, and another thing I mentioned was it's like, and this could be said about movies in general. It's like they try so hard to exist in our world, if that makes sense. And it's like I wish people or movie makers would realize that it's okay to just be a straight up fantasy. Like
yes.
it's escapism, and that's okay. Yeah.
I think that's got a lot to do with like the Christopher Nolan effect on films.
Maybe.
Honestly.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go ahead and this is really kind of a personal thing, but whenever I was a little boy, I had this before, well, it probably wasn't before DVD altogether, but it's before I had a DVD player. I had a VHS player, okay? So I used VHS up until I was in like high school. That is how much I used VHS. Well, one of the first Bond movies I had on VHS, because I didn't have them all. I didn't have the full set.
Yeah.
Was Goldfinger. And man, I watched Goldfinger like probably 300 times as a little kid or a young teenager, you know what I mean? I had Goldfinger, For Your Eyes Only, and Live and Let Die, and those three were on repeat all the time. So
those are some of my favorites.
Yeah, they're all
those
great.
Are good ones to have.
Yeah.
I watched the 4K version. I own the movie somewhere, but it's I think it's do you remember when they released the box set DVDs like in the early 2000s? I think it was like right after Die Another Day came out. I had those somewhere. I don't know where they are. So I rented the 4K version on Prime. And dude, it was like watching it like it made me feel like a kid again watching it for the first time because that's how I remember it looking. Like
Yes.
so, it just looks so good. And one thing I wanted to bring up since I did watch the 4K version, you can actually I don't know if you noticed this, Colt, but you can actually kind of make out Bob Simmons' face in the gun barrel. Just you can almost make out the details. Whereas before, I guess it was so low quality that it was too dark, so you assumed it was Sean.
I could probably say that if I didn't have such poor eyesight.
Oh, yeah.
I
I
did.
have I have my contacts in, luckily, so I got pretty shit eyesight too.
Yeah, it's
Happens to the best of us.
probably not that great. I think the Blu-ray version is the same scan as the 4K scan because I was noticing last night when I was watching the credits for Goldfinger that it had the 4K scanning credit on there, so they probably used the same scan for the digital that they did for the Blu-ray. Now,
Yeah.
I don't know the specifics of all that, but I did notice that.
Sounds like you know more about it than I do on that angle.
Dog, I just read the credits.
Hey, but before we move past this, I do want to say, Colton, since you watched the upscale version, did you notice, um, anytime there was a special effect, specifically the laser scene,
Yes.
um, did you notice how poor the quality got right there?
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
pretty jarring. Just like the scene at the hotel, you could tell that they weren't at a
On
hotel. Like you could
location.
tell,
Yeah.
yeah, you could tell it was projected behind them or something.
Yeah.
Added back in.
You mean that didn't happen in real life?
No, probably not, John. I'm so sorry you had to find out this way.
I if y'all let me go, this is going to be all over the place. But since he brought that up, I want to mention uh the only actor that was on location was the actor for Felix, right?
It looked like it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was the case, and everybody else was shot on at the Pinewood Studios.
I didn't know that, Caleb.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
And
Don't-
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say don't take my word for it, but
His scenes were a lot crisper, for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, I actually want to revisit Felix in a little bit because I want to kind of get everybody's verdict on this movie's Felix. Because I feel like he's one that I don't know. I feel like a lot of the fan base really don't care for this version of Felix Leiter.
I didn't
I
mind
just
him.
I didn't mind him either. I always liked him.
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't anything noteworthy or mentionable about him, but he was fine.
Yeah.
I don't think he's a very attractive man. Like his face doesn't scream like
Yeah.
he doesn't look as good as the one from Doctor No, but I liked his interactions with his partner talking about Bond. Like you could tell, like him and Bond had worked together a lot. So
Yeah.
I really, really enjoyed that. Like they got his characterization, those parts down for me. Somebody that doesn't know Lighter as much as you two, I believe.
Yeah.
So starting off the movie, we got our gun barrel, and honest to goodness, I don't want to spend too much time on the gun barrel because it literally is just doing the same thing that the one from Russia with Love does.
Yeah.
Just the same old gun barrel that we all know and love. But the pre-title sequence, I have to say, one of my favorite pre-title sequence ever. Like
Agreed.
from the
Definitely
minute
great.
we get the pigeon helmet thing to when he unzips it and he's got his white dinner jacket on it,
Yeah.
on. I mean, just perfect.
Yeah. Man, I really wish I could articulate the feeling that I got because it's been so long since I've watched that movie. When he comes out of the water and he takes his mask or whatever off, and he shoots the grappling hook and scales the wall, jumps over, and goes through all that, and then reveals the white tux. It's like, man, this is a Bond movie. Like this is, I don't know, it's just so cool. Yeah, that's why I was saying earlier, like the modern Bond movies, which I do love, don't get me wrong, but they just do not. had the same sort of effect, I guess. Like, I don't know.
I'll say that I've never seen Goldfinger. So when he came up out of the water and he did all that, I was like, man, this for me, I was like, this is Pete Connery that I've seen.
Oh yeah.
I was like, this is amazing. Like, I'm not trying to bury the lead, but I genuinely I adored that section of the film. I was like, this is what I've been waiting for, and I didn't even know I needed it.
Yeah.
So I really, you tooted it up, but dude, I really really like that whole sequence. For me, I was like, that was great. It was really 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 good.
Whenever he's in the hotel room with the girl. So, what are your thoughts on that?
I thought it was okay. We could have a whole conversation about the fight choreography. Obviously, it's not great, but
Definitely not.
but I mean, for 1960s, that's I mean, even from my view, sitting on the couch in the living room watching it, it was. I mean, it was tense. I mean, it
What
was.
I every time I see that fight, whatever Connery's doing with the dude's leg,
Yeah, I'm not sure.
it
Yeah.
and I just always thought I was just too stupid to understand what kind of martial arts he was doing, but
Yeah,
it's so
that's some
strange
like
looking.
it's some MI6 or SAS training that we just have. Yeah, they don't give that out to the public. So
But
Man,
I have to say, like the part whenever he's kissing the girl and he's looking in her eye,
mm,
he sees the guy come
yeah,
up and he turns around and uses her.
that's
That
pretty
to
cool.
me, that is Bond right there. Love it
I
or hate it.
yeah, I remember as a kid watching it for the first time. My dad pointing that out, and so after that, I always looked for those sort of moments in Bond movies, which we don't really get a lot of
Yeah.
now. I really appreciate those little those little moments where we get to see just how sharp he is.
And I've heard a lot of people say that was bad because he was using the girl as a human shield. But hear me out. It's not like she was good. She had set him up. You know what
Oh
I
yeah,
mean?
no, yeah,
I
she
mean,
had it
like
coming.
she had it coming, and I mean, y'all know I'm not sexist, but she had it coming. Like
Yeah.
yeah,
If anything, it's anything but sexist.
exactly. It's
he
equal
treated her as
opportunity
an
for
equal.
everyone.
Precisely.
Um, so what about I mean, I'm gonna have to be honest with you. Like I love one-liners. What about the one-liner here?
Shocking.
Shocking.
Positively shocking.
I
Perfect.
loved it.
Oh,
I do too.
I mean, what can be said? It was
What
just,
can be said?
yeah.
That was the
That's
cherry on top for me.
oh yeah. Hmm.
So moving on to the title sequence, Colton. What do you think about it? The gold girl and all that.
I thought it was great. Like I like the again, like I like how I don't know how to do it, but I still like how it's projected on the bodies, and especially with the gold paint. Like I thought it looked really, really. I wouldn't say classy, but it's definitely like an artsy vibe. And
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it because like you can see the Lincoln Continental like right in the opening. Like I was like, man, like I don't know, everything's just crisp and clean. I really enjoyed it. You can see a lot of stuff in it, like odd jobs in it.
Yeah,
Like
you can actually see parts of the latter half of the movie
yeah,
is
Yeah,
in
I
the
noticed
title
that
sequence.
too. I was like, why? I didn't notice it before. I was like, why are they spoiling it?
Yeah. And also another part, there's a little bit of From Russia with Love in there too.
Yep,
When
I
the
was gonna point that
helicopter
out.
and Bond's on the ground.
I
Mhm.
didn't notice that.
Hmm.
That's
And question for you: do you know who the girl was in that sequence?
no.
She actually is in the movie, and it's one we're about to talk about. It's Dink.
Hmm.
The girl who played Dink is actually the girl in the title sequence who's painted gold. So it's not the same girl who's painted gold in the movie. It's not Shirley Eaton.
You would
But
think they would get all that done in the same day.
yeah, for real. Like I
Since
mean,
you're already painted gold, let's set you up in front of the projector and do the title sequence so we don't have to do this again.
exactly. But so what about the first scene, like legit scene in the movie? Miami. What do y'all think about it?
the diver, when the camera comes around the hotel, and that was really high. That was a really high jump.
Would you do it?
No. Mm-mm. Nope.
My first thoughts are, dog, what is Goldfinger wearing?
Oh, dude.
Throughout half the movie.
Well,
Like,
yeah.
Like, not saying anything about the locale. Like, the locale's cool, other than like the shots where you can definitely tell like it's
The rear projection. Yeah.
yeah. But that's probably the most jarring thing about the film is Goldfinger. It's not like your classy looking suave villain. Like, dude, ugly. Like, definitely kind of ugly.
So, and Caleb, you might remember this from the novel Goldfinger, but in the novel Goldfinger, this isn't really touched on in the movies, but he tries to he tries to get his skin, tanned a certain way
Yeah.
so that he would appear to have gold skin.
Yeah,
And
you're sparking some memories for me.
yeah,
I didn't remember that right offhand, but yeah, I do remember something like that in the book.
but and like what Colton's talking about, what he's wearing, it's that gold, like like whatever leisure outfit, whatever it
Yeah.
is.
Sunbathing suit.
I think in the movie actually, every scene that he's in, he's wearing something gold.
Yeah,
Other than if I remember right, in the very last scene, I think the only thing he has is gold is the
the
revolver.
revolver. Yeah.
Yeah,
Which that was cool. I'd like
that
to
was
talk
really
about that
cool.
when we get to that.
Mm.
So let's talk about. So let's elaborate a little bit further on about our boy Felix Slider. So I'm Caleb. I'm sure you heard Colton and I talk about Doctor No. Did you
Mm.
Did you listen to that episode?
Yeah, I did.
So
It's very
I
good.
think. Oh, thank you. Colton and I both. I think we were pretty gushy about Jack Lord's Felix Slider.
Oh, it was a cool dude.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
pretty cool.
I mean, Cease Linder, the guy who plays it in this movie, I mean, I always liked him as a kid. I mean, whenever I was a little boy, as I said, this is one of the few movies I had. I would identify this guy as Felix Slider quite a bit.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, um, I never really disliked him as what I've heard some members of the fan community say, but
Mm.
I think he does a fine job. But he's no Jack Lord, obviously. But
Nah.
Definitely.
Well, this is a theory. This isn't fact. So, maybe they, which I think there was maybe a contract dispute, or maybe it had something to do with the previous actor wanting more money. I don't know for sure, but it kind of worked better here because, dude, he was such a cool,
yeah,
suave looking guy in Doctor No, and so in this version, it kind of I don't want
scale
to
it
say
back.
it. Yeah, it's not like he was stealing the show before in Doctor No, but it's kind of there's a more of a contrast now.
That makes a
Yeah,
lot
I
of sense.
completely agree. Yeah, that's not the first time I've heard that.
Oh, okay.
I've heard a lot of people say that, and I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
I think that's definitely what they were trying to do
Mm.
because I mean, viewing Jack Lord and Doctor No, I mean, Jack Lord in that movie, I mean, I think he most definitely looked. I mean, I'm not trying to sound weird, but I mean, I think he looked as good as Connery did. Both of them were young and fit, and
Which I like that too because it's like this is an American James Bond, and
yeah,
that's why they get along so well.
yeah, most
Maybe.
definitely.
But
He
which
very much. Oh, I'm sorry, Caleb.
well, I was gonna say I really don't understand why there would be hate for this version either because I mean he serves his purpose.
Yeah,
It's fine. There's nothing really to dislike about him.
yeah, he don't do anything wrong.
Yeah,
I mean, honest to God, he does more in this movie than Bond does in this movie. And if you look at it in a way,
yeah.
a lot of
I mean,
Bond.
he did loiter at the KFC for a long time.
You're exactly right.
But
He had
but
to
I
get
can't really. I can't. I don't blame him.
yeah. He had to get the like the ultimate snack pack or whatever it is
Yeah.
that KFC's advertising these days.
I'll
But
say that in the terms of his looks, for me, like you go from the one from Doctor No, he's got that the in Batman terms, like he's got that Harvey Dent look before he becomes Two-Face. Like he's Harvey Dent and Bruce Wayne in the comics. Sometimes they're like the same type of look for a character. Like they look handsome, just like you'd expect. The businessman, like strikingly good looking, and then like whenever you get to this one, he looks kind of like your uncle.
That's a good way to put it.
All
That's a really good way to put it.
That's a perfect way to put it. Good job, Colt.
I'm sorry. It's just what was stuck in my head. I'm just like, that guy looks like at the family reunion.
That's Uncle Felix.
Yeah, Uncle Felix. There you go. I'm never gonna get that out of my head the rest of the franchise.
And he brings a 6-pack of Coors Light.
That's
Oh,
right.
yeah.
So moving on to Dink, what do you think about her?
Well,
She was definitely a girl.
Yeah. But what about I hear this get called out all the time. What about him smacking her on the
I figured that's where this was going.
That's where it was definitely going. Yeah.
My wife. Okay, so I told Colton about this already, but I told my wife, I was like, you got to watch this with me. So when we do our segment on the show, when we get a woman's take, I want you to be familiar with the film. She knew I was joking, but when that film when that scene came up, she's like, strike one.
damn.
Yeah, I think we were up to like strike 15 before the credits rolled.
Yeah,
Should have been lenient, I'm sure. My wife, not to skip ahead of the movie, but every time my wife walks in a room and I'm watching a James Bond movie, she walks in right when they're about to have sex. So like last night when she walked in, or night before last when she walked in and I was watching Goldfinger, it's like right when James Bond's about to like he's about to have sex with Pussy Galore. I'm like, man, that's kind of rapey.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
Definitely is.
Yeah, I warned my wife about that scene in particular going into it, but honestly, and I'm not defending it, not saying it's right or it's a good scene. It's not as bad as I remember.
I would definitely say it's better than one scene in Thunderball. Like, and that's a spoiler alert for Thunderball, but I would definitely say
Dude, I forgot about that.
Well,
Yeah.
I haven't seen Thunderball, so I'm excited now to compare that because it was. I was like, damn, James, this is you pushing hard, dog.
Yeah, you would never see anything like that in one of the newer Bond movies at all.
The roles will be swapped, I think.
Yeah, probably so.
She raped Bond.
Mm.
He didn't want it.
So what about whenever he goes up to Goldfinger's room? You know, he just kind of takes the key off that maid's off the maid. You know, do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah. Did they have maybe this may not even be a thing, but reckon she had like a master key that
Yeah, must have been.
But and another thing, how did he know? Okay, so I saw him glance at the table, that they were playing. What were they playing?
Well, they were playing what was it was it I don't know, what was it?
It was cards.
I have no clue.
They could
Was it Gin Rummy? Is that what it was?
Maybe.
You know what? Y'all keep on talking. I'm gonna look it up.
It could have been Uno for all. But anyway, so I saw Bond walk behind Goldfinger and glance at the table, and maybe we were meant to think that that's how he got his room number somehow.
Yeah.
But I remember when the scene that you were talking about where he grabs the key and unlocks the door. She says, "That's Goldfinger's room," and he says, "Yes, I know." And I'm like, "Well, how do you know?"
He's Bond.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah,
I think he relied
guess
a lot
we're
on his
just
charm there too.
I guess we're just supposed to think that Bond deduced what room he was in just by, I guess like glancing up a little bit. I don't know.
Okay, yeah. There was okay, yeah, you're right, because he does look up toward the rooms, sort of implying that he saw the girl.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
It's fine.
that is a little bit of contrivance, I guess.
Yeah,
And that what? Yeah, gin rummy's the game they're playing. So
That makes a lot of
that's
sense.
that's a man. I don't know
I
if
believe
I'd
he
be.
said Jen whenever he won.
yeah, he did, didn't he?
I don't know
Oh, yeah, that's
I don't
right.
know
Yeah, he
how he
did.
didn't notice that.
Yeah,
It
no,
just
yeah, I remember
back of my
now.
mind.
Man, I wouldn't be dropping 15K on a game of rummy.
Yeah, most definitely not. Like,
He just likes to win.
so like taking what you just said, Colton, and leading on to that scene where she says that. What do you think about that? I think that's one of my favorite times when Bond says, the Bond James Bond line. I think it's great.
Yep,
The
it's
way
perfect.
Connery does it.
Yeah, I liked it. I don't have very many complaints about this movie at all. And like I think Connery is like, from what I've seen, this is like the suavest I've seen him.
Yeah.
In my opinion, like
So a lot of people say that, or at least I've heard a lot of people in the fan community say that each Bond actor's third movie is when they really come into the role. And I mean, based on Goldfinger, most definitely. I mean,
Yep.
Connery, I think, and this is a spoiler alert for all the other Connery Bond movies. I think this is by far the one that he looks more relaxed and more comfortable in the role.
Yep.
I
definitely.
mean, you could watch this and believe that he is this guy. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like just the way he plays it.
Mm.
Nothing really takes me out of his performance anymore. Like even when he's doing like little quirky stuff later in the film, and I'll bring it up when we get there. Like I'm not like this is an actor. I'm like this is James Bond for me.
Oh yeah.
Like my illusion for him is not broken up at all.
Mm.
It's just other stuff in the film that breaks it up.
So one thing that I want to touch on before we go any further. Now, Colton, you brought up what Goldfinger was wearing. But guys, what the hell was Bond wearing?
Those shorts, dude.
The blue like little onesie
Yeah.
thing.
So bathing
Oh,
suit.
it was a romper. That's what it was.
Yeah, it was a
It
romper.
is a romper.
Yeah, I said shorts, but it's one
It
piece,
is,
dude.
it is a romper.
Dude, he needs to go up a size.
Why did men wear those?
I told my wife I need to get one of those.
Man,
Michelle would love
that thing had to be like super comfortable. There's no other reason I can think of to wear that.
That's got to be it.
Oh, one thing, real quick before we move past the James Bond introduction. Did any of you guys notice the continuity error there?
Not me, man. I'm not gonna notice most continuity errors anyway.
Well, yeah, and this isn't a nitpicky thing. It doesn't bother me.
Can I
Go ahead.
guess it?
Yeah.
Was it a scar on his back?
No, he's clothed in this scene.
Okay, go ahead.
So before he says the line, he walks into the room twice. Just
Okay.
yeah.
I didn't notice that. I'm totally gonna rewatch it now.
Yeah, like I
Yeah,
said,
me
it's not a nitpicky thing. Honestly, it looks cooler as he's like if he were to just be standing there like this, it wouldn't have looked as cool. So I get why it's like that, but I thought it was worth mentioning.
It's like, Sean, you've already walked in the room, but we need you to walk in the room again.
It would be fun.
Yeah, you're right, Caleb.
It would be fun. It'd be funny if she turned around and he was walking back toward the door. He's like, hold on a second, turn back around. Okay, now look, Bond.
Yeah, you're right, because he turns the thing off, right? He turns the radio off.
Mhm.
Yeah, you're right. I never noticed that.
I'm gonna have to watch that again.
Mm-hmm. You could say that, like, after he turned it off, he stepped back,
Yeah.
but he takes a good, well, even if he did in the shot after she turns around, he takes a good 2 full steps. So it's definitely a continuity error.
Definitely.
Yeah.
An editing thing, probably.
Yeah. So, well, you got to look at it like this. Back in 1964, they did not expect 3 dudes from Savannah, Tennessee were going to be nitpicking each part
Definitely
of it.
not.
That's why I said I'm not nitpicking. It doesn't bother me at all. I just
it don't bother me either.
It's just, that right there gives movies a lot of rewatch value for me, because for some reason I really love. Even if somebody else notices it, I want to see it. You know.
So is that like your moment for this film? Kind of like the guy with the crazy eyes from Doctor No.
Yeah. No, it's the pool table.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Well, we will get to that trick pool table. So,
What's with the trick pool table?
so what about Odd Job, man? Like he
I like him a lot.
knocks him out, and I always heard that whenever he knocks him out, Bond's looking to get some champagne. Actually, before I talk about Odd Job, let's talk about Bond. He says that drinking Don Perignon, 53, when it's not chilled,
Mm.
is as bad as listening to the Beatles without earmuffs.
Yeah.
I, I that is awesome, especially because that was when the Beatles were like,
That was a ballsy line.
yeah, and
Mm.
Bond's over here like, yeah,
Yeah.
I don't like the Beatles.
Yeah.
It's even crazier when you think about one of the Beatles is gonna write one of the songs later on.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy, but yeah. Anyway, back to what I was saying about Odd Job. I always heard that whenever he knocks Bond out or whatever, in real life he actually did it too hard and hurt Sean Connery.
Yeah, I heard that too.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
No, not really. That would not from that guy.
Yeah.
No, I just mean it's cool that like
Yeah, I
I got
that,
you.
that information is still around. Like
That
behind the
what's still
scenes,
around?
just the fact that like that information circulated past the set of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of times on a movie set, probably not so much back then as it is this nowadays, but a lot of the behind the scenes tumult is usually like not discussed outside.
Yeah, it
Just
just
the
gets
fact that-
forgotten.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
because
pretty cool.
yeah, there was nobody walking around with a camcorder like or a phone back
Yeah,
then. So
definitely.
yeah, there's a lot of that stuff just you never hear about.
So what about the gold painted girl?
That was intense.
Like later on in M's office, we learned that she died of skin suffocation, as Bond calls it. But the thing is, I've read and heard so many times that that's not actually real. That
Yeah, MythBusters I think actually had a Goldfinger themed episode, and
Yeah.
they tested that.
Now I gotta watch that.
I think she died from the lead
That's very
because
possible.
this is the '60s. You
Yeah.
know,
that's honestly a better idea than skin
But-
suffocation.
yeah, but I don't. Would she die that quick?
I mean, surely that wouldn't be like die like that. I mean,
No, I think she just which I don't know how. I don't know if the actress is still alive, but that might be worth looking into. She might have actually died from something related.
yeah, I think Shirley Eaton is dead, but she lived long after
Yeah.
this movie.
Okay, well that's good to hear. I'm glad I'm not right.
At least I think she's dead. Let me look that up real quick. Y'all go ahead and go on. I don't want
I
to
will
say
say-
somebody's dead that's not.
I will say the gold body paint is very striking. Like I know it's like a big theme for the movie. Like a lot of the movie cases and everything have like
Yeah,
the gold painted woman on and everything. Like I think that it's very eye catching. Like
it's iconic.
yeah, definitely iconic. Like I liked it. I get it. I knew about the gold painted woman in this film prior to ever seeing the film because this is
Yeah.
my first time watching the film. Like so that supersedes everything for me. So it was a cool sequence. I think.
Yeah, that was used in a lot of the promotion.
That makes a lot of sense.
Because I think that's when the media when they were shooting that scene. I think that's really the first thing the media got to report on and photograph and stuff. So yeah, that scene in particular really superseded the movie itself.
It was probably controversial at the time.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
It was risque.
And I have to correct myself. Miss Eaton is still alive, and she's
What?
86 years old. And on the off chance you're listening to this, I'm sorry I said you were dead.
Maybe she'll let us paint her gold.
Yeah, most definitely.
Um, th- well, I'll just say this. I hope she doesn't have any lead related illnesses.
Yeah, because you guys
So
haven't tooted that up. If so,
What's that?
I said because if she does, you guys definitely brought that up on her.
yep. Well,
Mm.
we manifested it.
Yeah, that's the word I couldn't think of.
I'm not
So
going to be invited back.
Oh yeah, you are.
so what about what about the M briefing in this one? Like
I love it.
there's one point M says, because Bond's telling him about about the girl dying, and Bond says, I know who did it. And M says, this isn't a personal vendetta,
Mm.
it's now it's in the newer movies, it seems like Bond goes on a personal vendetta in every one of the movies.
I
He's
feel like, yeah, I feel like that's his driving force of getting out of bed in the new ones. It's like,
yeah,
I
like
don't really have any personal attachment to this one. I'm going to take a day off.
all five of the Craig movies, I swear he goes rogue or semi-rogue in I think every one of them.
He does, yeah, he does.
Whereas in the classic continuity, like he didn't really do that until what License to Kill in the 80s. That's
Yeah, I was fixing to say, I think that's the first one he
yeah,
does it in.
and it felt like it was kind of
A big,
special in
it's a
that
big
one.
deal, yeah.
Yeah, like and now in the new ones, it's like, well, just he does that all the time. Like,
It would be a bigger deal if he didn't.
yeah, exactly. But
Next James Bond movie. He's no longer a loose cannon. We tightened him up.
yeah,
What?
he plays by the rules in the new ones. But
He asks for consent.
so what about
He better.
the what about the dinner with I think his name's Colonel Smithers. What do you think about that? Like you know who I'm talking about, the
Yeah,
older guy that's
yeah.
like one of my favorite little lines from this movie is whenever Bond's like they're sitting there and the guy says go ahead and have some more of this disappointing brandy, and
Yeah.
and you can tell
What's
M
wrong with
actually,
it?
yeah, he liked it, he was
Yeah.
enjoying it, and Bond like goes on this like tangent about how it's a 30-year-old fiend
Mm?
indifferently blended with
Yeah.
what is it, an overdose of Bon Bois or whatever he said. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
they're just such a weird line. Like,
Well, I used to think that that whole scene was weird, but I mean, you kind of need it because
yeah,
the banker explains how they're trying to make Goldfinger return, or no, what was it? They were trying to figure out how he was moving the
getting his
gold.
gold. Yeah,
Yeah. So, but yeah, I used to think that scene was so weird and like it really bogged the movie down. But uh, last night when I watched it, I really enjoyed it,
yeah,
even though you get some of that that posh
snobbiness
banter.
kind of.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. But overall, I like that scene.
yeah,
I
and
liked how it broke the status quo for the last couple of films. Like we get to see Bond and M in a different setting. So
Yeah, yeah, that was interesting.
yeah, any time that you see Bond and M out together, I always like those scenes.
Hmm.
Um, so I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. And Colton, you were just today we were talking about Q earlier on in
oh
text
my god.
message. We get our first legit Q lab scene in this movie.
Oh yeah.
So what Caleb, what are your thoughts about it, man?
Oh, I'm really wanting to hear Colton's take since he's
All right.
because this is the first time he watched it.
Well,
Man,
Colton, go ahead.
well, real quick, I
Okay.
just love it. It's perfect.
Same.
Yeah, go ahead.
Guys, let me tell you, like at the beginning of this movie, I was already sold with the spy sequence, like him coming in. But whenever we go to the Q lab and Desmond comes out there and he's talking with Sean and just like you get to see all the stuff going on in the background, and then him and Q start talking, and he brings up the car. Man, I was like, oh
Hmm.
my god, this is one of the best parts of the movie for me. I was like, their interaction together so good. He's telling him to bring it back undamaged or in one piece
Hmm.
or whatever. I was like,
Yep.
I thoroughly enjoyed that. Like that's probably like other than when Sean Connery was introduced in Doctor No,
Mm.
like I was really really giddy then, and I didn't really know why. It's just I was enamored. We'll say
Yeah.
that. Whenever he introduces the Aston Martin in this movie, like I was like, man, this is kind of one of my peak James Bond moments now. Like
For
they
sure.
go over all the details of the car. I'm just like, this is so cool. Like I don't think within the Connor area I'm ever gonna have another moment like that where I just kind of like feel the fanboy, even though I'm new to this franchise. Like I don't know, it was definitely a first time moment for me, and I
Yeah.
really enjoy it. And I'm sorry I'm gushing. It's just
No, dude.
it's
I
probably one of
love
my
it.
favorite parts.
I love it.
Me too.
I'm sorry, I'm just excited. Like that was I've been wanting to talk about that since I watched the movie. I was like, I love their repertoire. Like
Mhm.
it was so good. Like hands down one of the best parts of the movie.
I think so Desmond Llewellyn was in From Russia with Love, right?
Yes.
So I don't remember all of their interaction. I just remember him giving Bond the attaché case or tashi case, however you pronounce it.
Say it for me,
And
Jonathan.
Well, the way Bond says it's a tashi case, isn't it?
attaché, yeah,
Yeah.
or something.
Nice.
But anyway, so their dialogue in that movie is just kind of serves its purpose, and then the movie moves on. It doesn't really linger on their interaction. Um, and I think Desmond Llewellyn was told to like inject some humor. And dude, I mean, it works so well. Like I love their relationship, I guess, for Desmond is or Q is
Yes.
sort of like a paternal figure to Bond, and Bond's like a little shithead kid,
A
pretty
little
much.
bastard.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Definitely get teenager vibes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It was great.
yeah, to build on what you were saying, Caleb, I always heard this story that Desmond was going to do the scene where he was really nice and respectful to double oh
To
007,
Bond.
and
Yeah.
one of the I guess the director or whoever came over and says, "Yeah, you're not going to do that," and Desmond's like, "But it's James Bond. Everybody likes him." He says, "No, you don't like him because he doesn't respect your equipment. So
Hmm.
you need to like not like him at all. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So that's
That's
yeah,
so
like
genius. I love that.
yeah,
Mm. There's a line where Q says, he's like, I never joke about my work. Like that sort of implies like he's like just trying to tell Bond like, hey, like this is serious. I take this seriously. You should too.
yeah.
Yeah. I got that. Like that. Yeah. I'm sorry guys. I'm still giddy. Like
Oh yeah,
No.
dude, it's a great scene. I love that. This is really well. This is the first Q Lab scene we've gotten so far, and they really just get better from
Yeah.
here. And they're that sort of a paternal and teenage um, relationship that they have gets what's the word? It kind of
matures.
it matures, and it just of course with each actor it's a little different, right?
Yeah.
And but it's still it just gets better over
Yeah.
time.
I agree with what you're saying, Caleb. I mean, if you look at it from right here in Doctor No, Goldfinger, at the way they're you know, acting towards each other, and then like fast forward to the way Bond is in GoldenEye to
Mm,
Q. You
yeah.
can tell there's a lot more warmness.
Yeah, there's a little
Q's
bit of respect
yeah,
from
mutual to each
yeah.
other.
Hmm.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, Colton, gush away, man, because I mean, like honestly, I'm a little bit envious, because I remember the first time I've seen some of these movies, and I remember that same feeling. So yeah, that's what it's
Well,
all about, man. Like,
I'm gonna tell you, like I don't know if there's gonna be very many moments that make me feel that way in this franchise, like
Mm.
with some of the other actors and everything. But I'll tell you, like I think the vehicles, and I like Q a lot, but I think the vehicles are probably one of my favorite things about the James Bond films.
Yep.
Like there's some of them I hate, absolutely hate, but I love most of the Aston Martins. Like, and the DB5 is not my favorite. Like it's probably my second favorite.
Yeah, I want to know too.
yeah, Colton, I'm gonna put you on the spot. Um, what do you hate?
Man, I'm not gonna lie. I absolutely hate the BMWs in Brosnan's films.
That's
Like,
fair.
like I'm not
That's
a I'm not a BMW fan at all. Like
So let me take this moment to to talk about that. So nowadays, I know how the whole Bond community feels about BMWs. A lot of them don't like them, but man, as a kid, you got to see, man. Whenever I was getting into Bond, it was like 2001. It was like 99 in 2000.
Right.
So that was like the time of Pierce Brosnan. The world is not enough. Tomorrow Never Dies and GoldenEye were out.
Right.
I thought of Bond using BMW is that was his car. Like I thought of BMWs as like the Bond car. Whenever I was a little kid, I remember whenever my dad would be driving me around, if I saw a BMW driving, I'd be like, "Dad, there's a BMW." My dad's like, "So?"
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so who cares? And
Yeah.
I was like, "That's what Bond drives."
Yeah, it is. If you really think about it, it's like, how do you go from a supercar to a sedan? It's
to a
like,
to a German car at that.
yeah, it's like,
It's so weird.
M's like, okay, you can't have the Aston Martin anymore.
Yeah.
Here's this 4-door BMW at 3 o'clock. Go get my kids from school, and take take them to soccer.
Exactly. But
I will say that was one of my favorite lines of the film too, because Jonathan, you brought up in the last film that in the books James Bond drove a Bentley.
mhm.
So when
Yeah.
Bond walks up to Q, he's like, "Where's the Bentley?" And
It's at its
he's like,
day.
"Yep." He said they discontinued it, or what was it? Decommissioned it. That's what he said, didn't he?
Yeah.
So I,
Said M's orders, it's gone,
I really
I'm
enjoyed
so
it.
glad you brought that up, Colton, because I didn't have that in my notes at all. And you're right. He did say that.
It was such a good line. I'm one of the reasons I'm giddy. I'm sorry. That was cool.
And earlier before we got on this podcast, Caleb, we were talking about, differences in the movies and the books.
Yeah.
And that's one for me. A big difference is Bond is such a Bentley
Oh
just
yeah, he's a
fanboy.
diehard. Oh yeah.
Like now in the book, Goldfinger, he did drive an Aston.
Oh,
But
did he? He did. Yeah, I remember that.
I mean, for most of the time in the books, he loved his Bentley. That was his. I even described it as his own. I mean, his one hobby he had was
Yep.
working and improving his car.
Hmm.
His Bentley. I mean, it was like even at the time the first Bond books were made in the 50s. Bond's car was an antique. It was from the 30s.
Yeah.
It was.
Hmm.
But I'm really veering off track there. I'm going to get back to where we were at.
Well, one I want to touch on that because I can't remember which book it was, but there's and I can't remember it word for word, but there is a line in one of the books where Bond just really describes his hate for American vehicles, describing them as like
Yep.
big boats.
Yep.
Yeah, and
Which-
that always stuck out to me, and I always I guess it was my patriotism coming through, being like, dude, don't talk about America's like, man, we've got the best cars. What are you talking about?
Well,
Some
yeah,
of them,
I know. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Colton.
I said some of them are the best for sure.
Yeah,
So I know exactly what you're referring to, Caleb, because I remember reading that and thinking, well, I could see Fleming being Fleming.
yeah, I
But
can
then
too.
whenever I learned more about Fleming and realized how much, I mean, Fleming loved American cars. He owned a Studebaker.
Really?
He owned the Ford Thunderbird was his
Oh,
favorite car.
that's right. Yeah, I think didn't you mention that in the last episode, or maybe it was Doctor No? But yeah, yeah, okay.
I
Yep.
don't know why he wrote that. Because he loved
Bond,
American cars.
yeah, Bond is really loyal to England, and
Yeah,
I will
well,
say, this film is a walking Ford commercial.
yeah, it is. Yeah,
Like
yes, it is.
Like you could tell they paid a lot for marketing in this movie between the Lincoln Continental and the Thunderbird that Felix and his partner drive, and then the Ranchero that Oddjob drives later. Like they definitely spent some money to get their cars advertised in this film for sure.
Did you mention the Mustang?
No, I forgot the Mustang. I don't know how I could forget that because I
Good
really
looking
enjoyed
car.
that whole sequence. I'll gush again when we get there.
So moving on, because I'll be honest with you, I could stay where we were right then. I could stay there for another hour. So
I understand.
There's another line I want to talk about where Q is talking about the car, and Bond, I think, asks like pretty much something to the effect of how long is this going to take, and Q says, "Well, if you've got about an hour," and Bond kind of looks annoyed, and I'm like, "No, dude, yes, stay here for an hour. I want this scene
Yeah.
to go on for another
Yes.
hour."
Like,
Yeah,
I would
like
give anything to be there.
I mean, dude, I could have a 2 hour long movie of just that car. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh yeah,
I
yeah, for
love it.
sure.
but so moving on to the golf scene. There's a lot that happens, but pretty much it boils down to Goldfinger's cheating Bond, so Bond decides to cheat Goldfinger. So they're both cheating each other, and Bond just cheats him more. And there's this one line like, like that, Bond's caddy, he picks up that ball and he's like, this isn't his ball. He plays a Schlesinger at one or what? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Just goofy
it's kind of
mess.
over the top. Yeah,
The whole sequence was I'm not gonna say it was misplaced. It felt, I think for this whole movie, the golfing sequence was the one thing that felt like the most
Looking back, it does.
diverged from the main
Yeah.
road, I guess.
I suppose it does feel like it maybe goes on a little. It don't last too long, but
No.
even at that, it does feel like we might stick around too long in the golf scene. Don't get me wrong, I love the way Connery looks, what he's wearing. The
I
the
like the
the
hat.
hat, the outfit. I love all that. I like the idea of them both, squaring off against each other on a game of golf. Both of them are feeling each other out. I love Goldfinger's Rolls Royce. I love Bond's caddy, as goofy as he is. But like, I don't know. Like, I would agree with what you say, Colton. It is a little different kind of scene.
I
Caleb,
I
what do you think
love
about it?
I love that whole sequence.
Oh yeah,
But I can see how it kind of diverts from the rest of the movie, and you might could make an argument about the pacing.
yeah,
Maybe it bogs the movie down some, but I wouldn't say that it doesn't add anything because you touched on how it was sort of Bond and Goldfinger's way of um, figuring each other out.
yeah.
The only problem that I have with it is Goldfinger's pants. What are those?
I
I was gonna
know.
bring that up. Like, man, they look so ridiculous.
Yeah,
Just everything the dude wears in this movie takes me right out of it. I was like, man, this is embarrassing.
we're supposed to believe that he has like an infinite amount of money and he chooses those pants.
And he's wearing that. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
it's got to
Uh,
be like he's like, I'm going to wear the most ridiculous thing ever, and still
maybe he was
see this
trying to
movie.
distract his. Well, he didn't know he was going to go up against Bond, but maybe he was just kind of going into it like I'm going to wear these to distract my opponent because these are retarded.
They're ridiculous. Like, I hated them so much.
One scene that my dad and I always make fun of is whenever Bond wins the game. Bond's like Bond lets Goldfinger win
Mm.
and then tells him, hey, this isn't your ball. And it says, so you've lost the ball and the match. Like, I love the way Bond does it. He's so smug.
Yeah, yeah, I forgot about that. So we see Bond miss the putt on purpose,
Yeah,
obviously.
Yeah.
And then he reaches in the hole to grab the ball. Giving it, why didn't he wait till right then to swap the balls out?
yeah, exactly.
I
You were
never,
so right there. Like,
yeah, I don't understand why would you even risk letting Goldfinger put it on the tee and just wait to the end of the match and then swap them out and everything's it would have turned out the exact same.
Maybe it's a sleight of hand thing. Maybe he wasn't good enough. with it.
Yeah, and well, now that I think about it, you can't really predict, who's going to be the one reaching in the hole getting the balls on the 18th hole. So
yeah,
Very true.
yeah, but I do feel like there's got to be a better way to do that
Yeah.
without risking getting caught.
And the whole thing's still super smart anyway.
Sure. Oh yeah, yeah.
Like, I wouldn't have known to do that. Like, I don't know the rules of golf that much. Like hardly. I've never played. I played putt putt. Like, that's about it.
They're the
Mini
same.
golf.
Do you play golf, Caleb?
No,
Like,
I
I remember
don't.
you doing bowling. I didn't know if you did golf
I
as well.
didn't do bowling.
You didn't play bowling? You didn't
No,
do bowling back in the day?
no, just billiards.
Oh, that's what it was. Because you were at the bowling alley for the pool tables. That's what it was.
Right. Yeah.
Sorry,
Yep.
man.
Oh no, it's fine. I've
I knew,
tried. I've
yeah.
tried bowling. I'm terrible at it.
I'm
Well,
awful at
I
bowling.
suck at it too.
Yeah.
Uh,
Not my cup of tea.
so, of course, they leave the golf course. Bond leaves the little tracker, the Homer, in Goldfinger's cars. I'm gonna stop real quick. What do y'all think about Goldfinger's Rolls Royce?
I think it personifies wealth. I think
I think it personifies Goldfinger. It's big, it's bold, it's full flavor. It's not the light
gaudy.
version. It's it's him, in
Oh
a
yeah.
car form, like.
Goldfinger reminds me a lot of Donald Trump.
I can
I
see that.
Yeah.
I see that
There are a
too.
lot of similarities there. The obsession with gold mainly.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I want to touch on Odd Job in that scene real quick. That's
Do it.
we get to see his hat. As a kid, I thought that was the coolest thing. But Bond points something out. What would the club secretary think? And then we hear Goldfinger say, "Nothing. I own the club." I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
That's it's a really good scene, I think. And it really and when Odd Job crushes the golf ball, that was as a kid, and now it's menacing.
Golf
We
balls.
would even see the. Sorry, go ahead, Colton.
Oh no, you go ahead, John. It's okay.
We would even see the franchise do. I mean, really like do a redo of Odd Job doing the crushing scene in Octopussy. Colton, have you seen Octopussy?
I have not.
So
But
one of
that's a
the
more
main
film, is it not?
yeah, it's a more film. One of the henchmen of the film, the main henchman, does the same, but not with golf. He does it with dice.
Okay.
He
Oh,
gets them and
I
you
wonder if
remember
it's
that,
harder
Caleb?
than a golf ball.
no, I was gonna say after we wrap this part up, I was gonna say I really want to go back and rewatch that movie because I remember not liking it as a kid. But
I
and
didn't like it as a kid.
I've heard that it's like one of the best
Yeah.
in the series from a lot of people. So I really want to go back and rewatch that one.
Whenever I was a kid, and this is going off on a tangent, Octopussy was one of my least favorites. Honest to God, I think it's probably one of Moore's best movies. Like,
Yeah, I've heard
really,
that too. Yeah.
yeah, it's I actually like it. But that's just a little bit of my own opinions coming out. You should totally go back and watch it sometime, and make
Yeah.
sure your wife watches it with you so you can get her.
It's gonna be a hard sell. Uh,
You might have to come back and do that episode with us, Caleb.
Mhm.
no, I do want to say though, I really want to give props to my wife because she was she stuck it out. But I really think she enjoyed it to my surprise. Like she really liked Goldfinger. Of course, I mean, she's no stranger to old movies. Because I did tell her to kind of go in it with like I was like pretend like we're people in the 1960s going to the cinema. Otherwise, there's parts that have not aged well.
Yep.
So,
Fair enough.
and despite that, she still really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Just speaking on that, so I'm going to compare my wife to yours. My wife, she's not a big Connery fan, but my stepdaughter, I honestly think that Goldfinger is my 11-year-old stepdaughter's favorite Bond movie. So there's that.
Yeah,
She's a big Goldfinger
cool.
fan.
Yeah,
I'm actually pretty proud of, I guess, myself and her for her liking this so much. You know what I mean? Like I never
yeah.
thought she would take interest in it like she has. But
That's really cool.
yeah, I think it is too. But um, Colton, did Katie watch the movie with you?
So Katie came in pretty much during the rape scene,
Oh,
and the only thing she really had to say about it was, "Did she just say her name was Pussy?" And I'm like, just give it a minute,
Yeah,
like you just gotta step back. It's a different time. Even for that time though, That
You know,
name.
even for that time, they thought that shit was wild. Probably.
And speaking of which, I know we haven't talked about Pussy Galore yet, but like the crazy thing about Pussy Galore is she has one of the most, from what I've seen and heard, she's got one of the most outlandish names. She is one of the like most conservatively dressed Bond women I've seen.
Yeah.
I agree
Like
with that too.
it was I was expecting uh a more risque character, I guess. But I mean she is a businesswoman, so it makes sense within the context. I was just I wasn't expecting it.
Weren't they considering changing her name for the
Yeah, I was
film?
gonna. Actually, that's a
Okay.
part of my notes I wanted to bring up. They actually wanted it to be Kitty Galore.
Man, at that now just lean into it. If you're gonna name
Yeah.
her that,
Just let's just take a moment and thank the Lord above that that is not what happened. You
Yeah.
know, thank
yeah,
God we kept pussy. You know, like
yeah.
I
Kitty Galore.
I've never even seen Goldfinger until this time, but I've heard of Pussy Galore just because
Yeah.
of how outlandish the name was. So again, like the gold paint, it precedes the film. So
Do you remember
That kind
the?
of go ahead. What
No, you first. You
I was
first.
gonna say that kind of speaks to my point earlier about how this movie really leans toward the fantastical elements. Um, dude, there's no way you get away with that name in real life.
oh no. Like I've known a few girls named Kitty, and they hate that name just because of
Right.
all the sexual innuendo jokes they
Yep.
get, and
Mm-mm.
just it would be like 1,000 times worse if your name was Pussy in real life.
Yeah. Do you know the Austin Powers woman? And this is gonna get a little bit dirty,
Yeah,
but
I couldn't remember, but yeah, go. I was gonna bring that up. I couldn't remember it.
you remember you remember what her name is, Colton?
Uh, so the Austin Powers movies, I've seen them every time, and so like they kind of like roll into one film for me. The only Austin Powers woman's name that I remember is Alada, and that was
A
the only
lot
one
of
I remember.
vagina.
A lot of vagina.
That
That's the
that's
only one I really remember.
that's
So
the pussy galore Austin Powers woman.
okay,
Lot of
well,
vagina.
They're really not
okay.
that different.
No, they're not.
It's the same concept, isn't it?
Yeah.
But
Well,
anyway, getting back to what we were talking about. So so Bond's trailing Goldfinger across Europe, Switzerland, I think. And one part that in my notes here I've got wrote down, GPS. You know, Bond's got the GPS in his car, right?
Yeah.
Which
Mhm.
for 1964, I'm sure people probably thought that would never happen. But I'm gonna be honest with you. If I ever go on a trip, you best believe Google Maps is coming
Dude,
up.
I use Google Maps to get from here to like Domino's. And I live here.
damn,
I've
Dad.
lived here my whole no, I'm just kidding. But no, yeah, that's really
Yeah.
cool. That's another thing that my dad always used to point out when we would go back and watch these movies. He'd be like, "You can understand this was like cutting edge uh back in the day. Like we didn't think this was science fiction, and now it's so commonplace."
That's another thing that I've noticed recently watching a lot of Star Trek and like in line with the James Bond films, a lot of the technology that we get shown in the James Bond movies and in like Star Trek, like the GPS and communicators and stuff, is stuff we use every day now. And like back then, people were blown away. And like I still don't even know how that GPS that Bond has works because he goes to different countries. So like the bottom layer of the map, you would have the way that worked, you would have to have like an entirely different panel to swap out.
They didn't know how it worked either. Don't worry.
Yeah.
I'm sure because like there's no way there was like the way the light would go through that. You would have to have like a pizza sized map behind the center
Right.
console. Like
What you're talking about, the actual lines that resembled roads and stuff, that was an
Yes.
overlay. Yeah. I know.
yeah, so like it would have to be like gigantic behind the dash of the car. Like there's no way it would fit. Like
You'd have to take the motor out.
no, and you're not doing much without the motor of the car.
I know.
One of my favorite scenes here is just when Goldfinger stops off on the side of the road and like buys some fruit. from
Yeah.
that family, and he's
Yeah.
out there eating it,
It's so weird.
and then you got Tilly Masterson taking a shot at him,
Mm.
you know, and
Uh, as a kid, I thought that Goldfinger did that on purpose to set up her getting a shot on Bond.
okay,
You
Yeah,
know, I think that's the way they shoot the movie to
so
give
you'll
you that.
think that?
That's the same thing I thought when watching it the first time the other night. I was like,
Yeah.
because it's the way the Goldfinger looks when that happens. Like,
Yeah.
it
Like
looks
he
like
knew.
he's in on it.
Yeah.
yeah, it looks like he don't care at all. You know what I mean? That like, everything's fine.
He has this look on his face like, yeah, I know what just happened.
Yep.
I think that sells the character reveal later on too, because you were expecting something different. I think.
Yeah.
I agree with y'all. It's so one part of the movie that like I mean, whenever I was a kid, this really bothered me. So Tilly Masterson is driving her Mustang.
Mm.
Bond comes up beside her,
Mm.
uses the tire spike thing that comes out. And this just shows you how I was whenever I was a kid. Whenever I was a kid, I was like, Q did not show him that gadget was on the car. Like
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
that just came
They
out
used
of
to bug the
nowhere.
crap out of me. Like, he doesn't know it has that.
Yeah.
No,
And then like when she wrecks, Bond gets out and he's like, "Wow, a double blowout!" And the whole time, the whole damn side of the car has got this humongous like rip
Yeah.
through it.
it
Like,
is blown out.
yeah, like it's like, well, don't worry about the double blowout. What happened right here? Like, I mean,
This is
Seat metal.
this is gonna
It is
take a
dark.
lot of Bondo.
yeah, like, and
They
she's
must.
all like, take me to the nearest garage. It's like, girl,
Garage.
you,
No,
yeah,
garage.
garage. You just need to go get a new car. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, like.
That one's fucked.
like but anyway, like we get them driving around and she's like she says that box is her ice skates, you know.
Mm.
No, it's not a rifle, it's some ice skates. And we see Bond like, well, where do you skate? And she says, do you guys remember where she said? I forget what,
Oh,
like Suffragettes or something like that was the name of the place she said she skated at. And
yeah.
Bond's like, I didn't know there was ice there this time of year. It just calling her out on her.
Yeah.
But
I guarantee you guys noticed this because you guys probably seen the movie like 1,000 times a piece. But I liked the callback to the beginning of the movie with M, whenever M tells Bond to restrain himself
Oh,
because
yeah.
like he tells him to restrain himself. So like whenever the girl comes alongside him, like he's wanting to flirt with her and race and everything.
Mm.
I think it's like I guess like it alludes to that, but it also alludes to the way she ends up dying. And I really enjoyed that small part of the film.
Oh, yeah. That's a good point.
yeah, like Colton, good on you for bringing that up because he's you can tell Bond's having a lot of fun racing with her, and then he stops and he says, "Discipline, 007.
Yep, discipline. That was what he said.
Yeah.
Yeah, good job, Colton. Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that.
I didn't
Like,
know. I didn't either.
One of my favorite scenes of the movie is Bond actually doing spy stuff.
Yes.
So
Yes,
he
dude.
so he waits out, by Goldfinger's place,
Yeah.
because we see him out there in his suit sitting
Mhm.
on the ground, and then all of a sudden it flashes forward. It's dark. He's got his stealth gear on, which pretty much just amounts to a black outfit, and
Mm.
he's going around, and you see him, like leaning back, trying not to be
Sneaking
seen by
around.
all the
Yeah.
yeah. And he goes up and he looks in the window, and you see our boy Ling, who's
Mm.
a red Chinese agent,
Yeah.
and he's talking to Goldfinger. And Goldfinger, so when we learn that Goldfinger is smuggling gold with his car itself,
Dude,
Goldfinger.
dude, when I saw that scene as a kid, I was like, that's so smart.
I know
Uh,
it's like I wish I could remember what quote he says. He's like the something of my rolls is 24 karat gold or something
mhm.
like that. Like, I mean, just
I think
it's
it's
the
at the
way he
body
said.
work. The body work.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
But real quick, and I not complaining because it's we've already established this is a movie that exists in a really sort of fantastical universe. But would the gold not be too heavy for the car to function properly? I mean,
I thought about that too.
would
Like,
it would it
wouldn't
not
the
just
car?
like ruin the rear end of the transmission?
Yeah,
I
like
I don't
it
know.
seems like it would be really weighty. You know what I mean? Like just
Yes, yeah.
like I mean, I figure the rolls would already be a boat to drive. I mean, surely with all
Right.
that gold in it, it'd be just
Yeah,
an
no,
immovable
it's
object.
already a heavy car.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Don't put an aftermarket gold grill on it.
But yeah, but like just Bond just spying on the meeting and the music, and that's one thing we haven't even talked about is music, but just the
Oh,
music is
dude.
playing whenever he's looking through those blinds.
Yeah.
I love it. And of course later on we get, Bond goes back and he's about to leave, and then he catches Tilly Masterson, who's there with a rifle,
Mm.
and she's going to try to kill Goldfinger, and of course that sets the alarm off.
Yeah, that wasn't very smooth on his part.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I know. Like, but we learned that Tilly Masterson, she's trying to kill Goldfinger because she knows that Goldfinger killed her sister.
Mm.
So let's talk about the car chase. So I mean, and Caleb, I'm sure I mean, I know you listen to Dr. No at least a little bit whenever
Yeah.
we did the podcast. Colton and I, we made a little bit of fun of the car chase in that
That's
movie.
fair.
I'm gonna have to say the exact opposite about
Oh,
the car
they
chase in this movie.
improved so much.
It's leaps and bounds better. Like,
Yeah, and that can be said about a lot of aspects about this movie.
yes,
How much they improved. Of course, real quick, John. I don't know if you know John, but they and Colton, they actually gave the crew or the production a huge budget for this movie, and
I wasn't aware.
yeah, I think it's like Doctor No and From Russia with Love's budget combined.
combined, yeah,
It
Yeah,
kind of shows.
oh yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like it's very apparent, especially in this scene. Of course you still got the rear projection, which is bad.
Yeah.
But
I don't think it's as noticeable as it was.
no, that's what I was gonna say. It looks a lot better here.
Yeah, I think the whole car chase sequence in this film, it really didn't take me out of it as much at all. I absolutely loved it. Like, I don't know whether it's the car because I love the car,
Right.
but just the fact that they did so much with an older car at the time when these vehicles didn't handle as well as they did, and they were going around and around those buildings. I don't know. Again, another one of my favorite parts of the film. Like, this whole chase sequence was superb. Like,
Yeah, I agree. But now I will point out on top of the rear projection, there's a lot of is it over cranking or under cranking? Where they speed up the film? There's a lot of that. Yeah.
I'm not sure the term for that, but whenever okay, so it might be because I was like, I'm kind of biased toward this film now, but like, whereas like when I was watching Doctor No, I was like really focusing on the rear projection. In this movie, like, I think I was just trying to just turn my brain off and enjoy it. So like, I didn't even
Yeah. No, yeah,
look.
that's mm.
They sold me on this one, even though
there
like,
were some there were some parts, and this may speak to my unintelligence, but there were some scenes where I was like, was that rear projection or was that shot? Was that an actual interior shot?
yeah,
Or it could just speak to the special effects. I don't know.
yeah. I agree with you on that. Actually,
a lot of that could give credence to the fact of the way it was lit, because most of it was
Yes.
at night.
it was at
So
night.
I think that helped.
Oh,
well.
absolutely. Yeah, I didn't even consider that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they did a really good job with that. With I mean, like, just it was at night, and I mean, I agree with you, Caleb. It does look like it's real. They're actually driving and not, because in like Dr. No, it's obviously rear projection.
Oh,
But
yeah.
like, I mean, the night scenes of him driving the Aston when they're inside, yeah, it does look like. I mean, they're just
Yeah.
driving the car, you know. And
Yeah.
something I want to talk about is whenever he's driving, and this is while Tilly is still alive. Spoiler alert. She's gonna die later on, but
What?
while
You
she's
spoiled the movie,
while they're
John.
driving, and Bond's using his gadgets,
Mhm.
and he does the oil slick. Well, the car goes off the cliff or whatever, and just blows up on the way going
Oh,
down.
I think that was a mistake. I think the car was actually meant to explode on impact, and it went off too early, and they're like, "Oh crap, we don't have any more explosives."
I remember my dad explaining that to me whenever I was a kid that one of the guy's guns must have hit the oil and it sparked and it blew up. And looking back at it, I mean, I just think that it was doing that thing, the same thing in Doctor No when the hearse goes down
And just
the
immediately
side,
implodes.
it just blows up.
Hold on. You could say, okay, I think so. We've established that this the Bonds universe is like really similar to ours, just a little more fantastical.
Yeah,
Yes.
Maybe when things sustain a the right amount of damage, they reach like a critical mass and they just blow up, like in
Blow up.
Goldeneye in the game.
So they must
Yeah.
have Grand Theft Auto 3 physics.
Or no, like GoldenEye 64 physics. You like if this was the Bond universe and I sit here and punched my desk long enough, it just explode. That's how things
Explode,
work in
blow
this
up.
universe. Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense.
So of course we get the scene where Bond comes up on I guess a drop off, a dead end. He has to get out, and he shoots a few Korean guys, and he makes the fatal mistake of sending little Tilly on, and Odd Job takes off his bowler hat, and that's it for her.
Yeah.
Bond was
So
pissed.
Real quick, how does she die in the book? Because it's different, right?
yeah, the book's different in the. Well, she lasts a little bit longer in the book, but Odd Job
That's what I was
still
thinking.
kills her.
Okay. All right.
In the book, Tilly Masterson. Well, it's Master Ton in the book. It's not Masterson. In the book, Tilly is like infatuated with Pussy Galore. And
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And like Bond's telling her like, "Come on, let's go," and whatever, and she's all like, "No, Pussy's gonna help me. Pussy's gonna save me." And he's like, "Shut up, you stupid girl! Like, we gotta go." And I think, if I remember correctly, I think Oddjob still kills her in the book.
Okay.
I think
All right.
it's been a minute since I've read that book, but yeah, I think so.
I have a question, if that's
Go
okay.
ahead.
So, I've not seen anywhere near as many Bond films as you guys. Like, the whole Bond lackey not having many speaking lines, is that a common thread throughout the Bond films?
Well, I mean, Caleb, I don't know if you'd agree with me. I'd say, I mean, Jaws is really the big one that's really similar to that. He doesn't.
That's where my mind went to. Generally speaking, yeah, it's kind of a common thing. But
I mean, some henchmen talk more than others. Like,
yeah,
say Nick Nack from The Man with the Golden Gun, he talked quite a bit. Whereas in Baron Samedi from Live and Let Die, he didn't talk much. He just laughed a lot. Like, that kind of varies, Colton, but every now and then you do get your strong silent type like Odd Job, Jaws. Let's see. I guess those are really all the. Well, Mr. Hanks from Spectre.
Yep, that's what I was gonna say. Yep.
Yeah, that Batista's character in Spectre was the reason I asked that, because like at the time of Spectre, he was a pretty prolific actor considering the other films he was in, and like he had like
No
very
lines.
few speaking lines in that film at all. Like,
Yeah, I think
was
honest to
surprised.
God, all he said was shit.
Yep, that's it. That's
I
yep.
believe it. I really believe it.
Um,
And like he's got a Spectre tattoo on his hand because he was in that movie, and like as you guys said, he has one line, so that's the reason I asked that. So
how
sorry
did
to jump ahead.
he get recruited? If he does, like, how did that work? Like, hey, do you want to be an inspector? And he's just
shook his
I'll
head.
take it as a yes.
What is this Spectre?
Yeah.
So
Sorry to jump off topic like 20 something.
Oh
years.
no. Oh, that's what I live
20-something years.
for, Colton. That's what I live for, is getting
Dude.
off topic.
I told Colton on y'all's last episode for Mercy with Love, dude, I love those parts, like where y'all just kind of talk about whatever. Like the structure it needs to be there, obviously, but I don't know. It's entertaining to me personally when you get off topic and talk about other things. So.
Well, I have big ADHD brain.
Oh yeah, me too. So.
So one question I gotta ask is this: so Tilly's dead. Odd Jobs got Bond right there. Uh, they're gonna take him back to Goldfinger. Why the hell would they let him drive the car?
He can't. The Cantonese guy can't drive stick. That's the only thing I could come up with.
I
That's
guess
literally
that's it.
because I used to bother me as a kid. I was like, "That's so stupid."
Yes.
Like, don't let it. Yeah.
Like,
So
they already know that the car's got oil slick, smoke screen. At
one
least
would
those two.
assume that this is the wrong seat to sit in.
Yes.
It's obviously plot convenience.
Oh
But
yeah.
it's I mean, as you said, it's fantastical, but it is so like whenever that sequence happened for me, I was like, oh yeah, he about to use that ejecto seat. I was so excited.
Oh yeah. One thing real quick that we didn't mention is the old lady with the MP40.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love that.
Dude, it was
I
such a
love
good
that.
thing.
I was gonna get to that point. I've got it written down.
Oh, sorry. Okay. I love dude, that's probably the highlight of the chase. Other than when the gadgets come into play, I love that. But she's a standout.
So at this point in the movie, we're still in what, Switzerland?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So off on a tangent, the way that old lady's dressed, like as soon as I saw her, I was like, man, that is Mrs. Kringle from Santa Claus is Coming to Town. Like the old claymation film.
Yeah.
That woman looks just like her for me. And I was like, man, this sweet old lady, like, how do they have her working for her? Like, I did not expect her to come out with the gun and just start popping off. I think
that's probably that has to be like the first time she's ever had to use that gun, because the recoil is just getting away from her so bad.
That is such a crazy scene. Like, it is so wild. Like,
I love it though, dude. It's so cool.
It was a good scene.
You know, she curtsies to him first, you know, when she's letting him by. She curtsies, and then next thing you know, she got the gun on him.
Isn't she like taking off like oven mitts or something when they come to the gate? Like she's yeah, me too. I figured she was just like fixing to get some cookies out of the oven or something, and then she pulls out an MP40. So pretty cool juxtaposition there, I think.
She had something piping hot in the oven, all right.
Oh yeah.
Colton, one part I wanted to say about the ejector seat. I know you're a big Fast and Furious fan, aren't you?
Just a little bit. And I know how bad those movies are. But
didn't Tyrese Gibson say something like ejecto seato cuz or something like that?
Yes, he did.
I forget which one, but yeah, I do remember that line.
It was too fast.
Was that the second one?
Yeah, it was Too Fast, Too Furious.
I know I've seen it. I just couldn't remember it.
It gets a lot of hate, but I absolutely adore that film.
It's been so many years since I've seen it, but yeah, it is what it is. I liked it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
it's a product of its time, like this film.
Like I'm gonna be honest with you, I love the ejector seat, Goldfinger. I mean, I think it's great. Like I love that it's there. I mean, if you think about it in real life, that would be such a random thing to have in your car as our ejector seat. But I mean,
it's like Colton brought up in one of y'all's previous episodes. A lot of these gadgets are like really situation specific. So that's one of those things.
Also, like, according to the okay, so you brought up the fact that the universe is fantastical or whatever. So, like, if you guys think about it, if Hugh's timing was off at all on his devices, like when the ejecto seat goes off, if the top did not pop off, that would just like,
oh god,
like that would be like a massacre inside that car. Like, I don't know if you guys noticed that. Like that guy would like explode.
Yep.
All over the inside of that car.
Oh, dude. Okay, so what if scene goes like this? Okay, so they're going toward the plant, right? And you see the shot of Bond hitting the button, and you never see the roof come off, and you get an exterior shot, and that window where the Cantonese guy sits just turns red.
Just
Oh,
red.
like Pulp
Like he
Fiction.
just
It just be Pulp Fiction.
oh my god.
Oh man, it'd be
Oh.
ridiculous. Like, I would like to see that in a movie that makes fun of something like this. That would be.
No, dude, I'm gonna download After Effects and I'm gonna do this. I'm going to, yeah.
We'll have
I'm
to
gonna
upload
make.
it to
I'm
John's
gonna.
channel. Like, I think everybody would like to see that.
Yeah. So like Bond gets captured. The whole mirror thing. That I remember as a kid having no idea what was going on whenever he's driving, and like the mirror on the he pulls the guns out and they're shooting, and then he drives into the building.
Yeah,
It's such a weird scene.
I
I
was
did.
so disappointed.
Oh, dude, yeah, right.
It
I
broke my
still
heart.
think it's a weird scene. Like,
It is. I never. I guess last night when I watched it for the first time in forever is when I realized that had something to do with him crashing, but I still don't fully understand.
yeah,
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
weird.
I feel like Bond isn't the type to pull away when playing chicken anyway. So
Yeah.
Right. It's
Exactly.
weird. It goes against his character.
I thought that was one of the reasons I was so disappointed, because for this to be the first film with the DB5 in it, like
Yeah, dude. Like
that's not how I wanted it to go out. So I
dude,
was disappointed.
I would have taken him just pulling over and putting it in park and be like, okay, all right, you got me.
I give up.
Yeah, instead of seeing it crashed into a brick wall.
But all is forgiven because the next scene is probably one of the most iconic in the whole franchise, the laser scene.
Mm.
So, Colton, my boy, what's your thoughts?
Man, first of all, whenever they're in that room, I was like, okay, you ain't even got to tell me. It's like it's a villain lair.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as villain lair as when we get to Kentucky. But,
It's just home away from home.
yeah, like you could, like, you got all the lab techs in there running around. It takes 12 people to operate one laser. Like I was like, this is the most tropiest thing I've seen in this movie.
But
like,
it wasn't tropey at the time.
No, I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm not.
Yeah, no, I know. I was just
like, and I'm not saying it ruined the scene for me, because
yeah.
I was like, how I was expecting Bond to I've explained my plot. No, I'm going to leave while you die.
Yeah.
But like they didn't leave, and like I was expecting Bond to wiggle out of it some way, like getting one of his restraints loose or whatever. Like I was expecting to burn his pants or something. Like I was expecting to like come out unscathed. No, Bond just like, hey man, I've already told everybody your secrets, so they're coming at you whether you got me or you got somebody else coming down the road. So you might as well just, we're golf buddies. You might as well just deal with me.
Yeah, like one scene I like is whenever he says, if I fail to report, 008 replaces me, and Bond says, he knows what I know, and then Goldfinger says, you know nothing, you don't know anything, like. But Colton, I wanted to tell you this, and Caleb, you probably remember this from when you read the novel. But Colton, do you know what was in place of the laser in the novel?
Dude, I forgot all about that. Yeah.
No, I don't. You guys feel free to fill me in. I'm curious.
You want to tell him, Caleb?
I want to guess because I don't.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Was it a saw?
It's a saw. Exactly.
Okay. Yeah. Dude, the laser is so much better.
Yeah, it was a circular saw in the novel.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's and I want to go ahead and tell you something else. And Colton, I think you would probably like this because I know you like little trivia pieces. In real life, they had a blowtorch under the table that Bond was on, that Connery was on,
Yeah.
to make it simulate that the laser was cutting through the gold or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it turns out that whoever was doing the blowtorch underneath actually got really close to Sean Connery's family jewels, whatever we want to call them. We're trying to keep this as PG as we can.
Too late for that.
Yeah,
I dropped
know.
an F-bomb earlier. My bad.
But yeah, like he got really close to it. So if you see Connery at some points look really, really like worried, well, then that's legitimate.
It solves the scene.
What?
it helps sell the scene, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah, it really works. I didn't know that. I didn't know. I mean, yeah, I knew there had to be something practical there.
Yeah.
Because obviously the laser was added in post. But yeah, I didn't know it was some guy with a blowtorch.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I'm glad they didn't do the whole Saw thing because that would have just gave me like Beavis and Butthead vibes, honestly.
The old Saw, but speaking of that scene in the book, you know, Bond actually drops the F bomb in the book in that scene.
Really?
Bond tells Goldfinger to go F himself in the book. And
Okay.
but he doesn't. The book doesn't actually say the F word. It's like F dash dash dash.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And Goldfinger even replies. He says, "Even I cannot do that, Mr. Bond." So, but
He really thinks a lot of himself, doesn't he?
yeah, he does. But hey, I'm kind of glad Goldfinger thinks like that because that's Goldfinger to me.
Yeah.
He should be too arrogant and too confident in himself. Because he's all right, Goldfinger. But
John, did you already bring up the fact that he's dubbed the whole movie?
I did not, and I'm so glad you brought that up, Caleb.
Well,
Because
what made me think of it was this scene in particular because it's so well done, the dubbing, which the whole series does a really good job of it, but like it really stands out to me here because we get the famous line,
yes,
and it's delivered really well, and
I'm gonna have to be honest with you. For a long time, I
yeah,
never knew. I never
yeah,
knew he
I
was
didn't either.
dubbed.
Yeah,
It like works out so good. Like I mean, it's just
well,
perfect.
yeah, I wanted to ask Colton, did you know that?
So at the beginning of the movie when they're playing cards, that's when I thought that they were dubbed over, but I couldn't
Okay.
tell, and I didn't go back to rewind it to watch. But as you get closer to the end of the movie, like you can tell more because the actor he's more expressive with the way he says things.
Okay.
But I think they did a really good job dubbing him because if you weren't if you weren't paying attention to these films like the way we are to review them, I don't think a casual person would have noticed it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Like you
agree.
guys probably noticed it because of rewatching it. Like,
Well, I think it's worth pointing out just for something else about the film to appreciate. Like they did a really good job of
yeah,
dubbing him.
I
One,
like pointing out whenever they dub characters anyway because like sometimes dubbing is
sometimes it's not
bad.
well done.
It is
Not at
bad.
all.
One of I'm getting ahead just a tad, but there is I want to say this before I forget. There is one line of his that they I don't know if they left it in on purpose, but there's a line in um the trick pool table scene that is not dubbed. And I'm trying to remember I can't remember what the line was exactly, but yeah, I just thought that was interesting. There's one line in the movie that from him that's not dubbed.
Okay,
We're,
I
we're
didn't know
definitely
that.
gonna have to go back and watch that now.
Hmm.
I want to take like maybe just a minute to talk about Gert Frobe, the guy that voiced Goldfinger. So Gert Frobe was actually a German, or
Hmm.
he's either German or Austrian. During World War II, he was actually Colton. Are you muted? Did you mute yourself?
Yes, I muted myself because my cat's making a bunch of noise. I'm
Oh,
sorry. I was
okay.
trying not
Just
to do
making
it.
sure.
I was trying not to do
Uh,
it noticeably. You'll have to edit this out.
oh no, you're good. I just had like a horror that you've been muted the whole time and we haven't been recording.
No,
Anyway,
I'm sorry, John. I was
you're
just trying to
good.
be smooth so you guys couldn't hear the cat.
You're good. Anyway, as I was saying, like he's actually, he was German or Austrian, I can't remember which, but he during World War II, he was a member of the Nazi Party.
Hmm.
So after Goldfinger came out, it was actually banned in Israel because
Yes.
Gert Frobe was a member of the
Yeah.
Nazi Party. But, and this just tells you how cool of a guy that Gert Frobe was.
Hmm.
And I hope I'm saying his name right here because you know me, I'm from, the South. I get names wrong all the time.
It's Gert Frobe. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
But in real life, man, like Israel took the ban off whenever it came out that Gert Frobe had actually helped hide a Jewish family during World
Yep.
War II.
I learned about that last night after we watched the movie. I wanted
Yeah.
to sort of do some research so I would have stuff to add.
Yes.
And yeah, I read about that. That was super interesting to me.
It just shows you what I mean. I just think that's awesome. It just
Yeah.
shows you what kind of a man he was.
Yeah.
That he was a good
Hell.
man after all.
You've
But,
officially done more research for this podcast than I have.
Um,
I'm kidding.
well, dude, I do that after every movie.
Same.
I do that in the
Yeah.
middle of watching a movie. I'll pause it and I'll look stuff up just to see. Like, I'm bad
Yeah.
at it.
Okay. Well, I do that too. If there's an actor that I recognize and I'm like, what is he from? Yeah, I'll do that.
I'm the same. Like, I love knowing when other people are in other movies, or whenever you see an actor that's like a really prominent actor later on.
Yeah, right. Yeah, dude. You know what's a good example of that, real quick? Saving Private Ryan. Vin Diesel's in that.
He sure is.
It is
Yeah.
really jarring.
That blew my mind. I watched it pretty recently. I was like, that's fast. That's Mr. Fast and Furious himself.
He looks so young.
Yeah.
Who would have thought that was one of his best roles? Because all of his other movies are like.
Well,
I'm kidding.
yeah.
I like Vin Diesel. I'm just kidding.
I like Vin Diesel too.
I will say another film that I noticed like a really young actor in is have you ever seen John Boorman's Excalibur?
I haven't.
No.
Okay, so John Boorman's Excalibur, I think it came from 1980. It was either 84 or 87, but like Patrick Stewart is in that film. I think he plays Leodogran, and like him in that movie, and Liam Neeson is also in that movie, and they are so young. And
what year did you say?
It's in like 84 or 87.
Oh, wow.
And that film, if you've not seen John Boorman's Excalibur, it's really, I really enjoy that movie. I honestly, I suggest you guys watch it. You might not like it, but for the time, the lighting of that movie is great. Just the different stuff they do with different shades of lighting on the armor to make the armor have like a fantastical look. Super enjoyable. But yeah, like Patrick Stewart and Liam Neeson are really young in that film, and it's
does Patrick Stewart have hair in it?
No, he does not.
What movie is that where he has hair? Oh gosh, Dune, the original Dune, right?
Oh, I've never seen Dune, the original Dune. I've never even finished the new Dune, though I've heard I need to watch them all. So that's going to be put on my list now. I've never seen Patrick Stewart with hair, though I imagine he would just look like Timothy Dalton.
Well, I'm taking over the podcast. This is about Patrick Stewart's hair now. So
hey, come on, we'll change the name.
No,
for Patrick Stewart's hair only. I'm sorry.
I'm done. I'm done. Yeah.
Okay.
Me too. My bad.
I was letting y'all nerd out about Patrick Stewart's hair for as long as y'all wanted to.
He looks better bald to me.
Yeah, I agree 100%, Caleb. Colton, building on what you said about Excalibur, we can watch that movie and review it on here. I would be totally for that, Caleb.
Yeah, I was
going in too.
Yeah, if I'm able to watch it, yeah, sure, I'd be down.
I have a Blu-ray copy I can let either of you borrow if you guys want to check it out.
Cool.
I really enjoy that film.
One thing that I want to bring up, and I honestly think it's so strange that we did not discuss it more because we were on that laser sequence for a minute, is and Caleb is the one that brought it up. We didn't even talk about, I mean, besides Caleb bringing it up, I didn't even say anything about the iconic line, you expect me to talk? No, I expect you to die.
Yeah, I think I just actually I don't think I even said any of the words. So yeah, no, that's really something to touch on there because dude, I love that line.
I mean, honestly, discounting the James Bond line, I do think that is the maybe even the signature line of the series. Do you expect me to talk? No, I expect you to die. That's like iconic. Like everybody knows that line.
Yeah, there was an old promotional ad. I think it was on one of the VHS tapes where it was like a montage of a bunch of the Bond movies, and I remember hearing that line, and I'm like, what? Because this is before I had seen Goldfinger. I was like, what is that line from? That is so cool.
What's funny, Caleb, is I know exactly what montage you're talking about.
Yeah. I want to go on YouTube and look it up after this.
But moving on to the whenever he wakes up after getting tranquilized, he wakes up and he sees uh none other than Pussy Galore in front of him, and she says, "My name is Pussy Galore," and Bond says, "I must be dreaming."
I know you are, but
Yeah, I know you are, but what am I?
no, that was the original line.
Yeah, that was the original
okay.
thing, wasn't it?
Okay.
What wasn't it?
Yes,
Okay,
it actually was.
yeah, that's what I'd read too. I thought that's what it was. You know, for some reason, in this movie and in Diamonds Are Forever, it seems like Bond just loves saying pussy. Just I think
Right.
Sean Connery as a person liked to
Yeah.
say that word because in Diamonds Are Forever there was one scene where he was like, um, I think the quote was "wrong pushy" whenever he killed like he killed one of Blofeld's doubles.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about. But like I think Sean Connery just liked to say that word because he says it a lot in Goldfinger, which I mean, granted, Pussy Galore is a character here, but I just think he likes to say it. Like,
What if they actually had changed her name to Kitty in the script and Sean just refused to say it?
yeah,
So
just
the script the director was like, okay, I guess yeah,
roll with it.
he will not say Kitty. He loves saying
It's not in his repertoire.
yeah.
But I do think, and this airplane scene, as small as it is, I mean, I have a lot to say about it. I do think the way he orders the martini, I think that's the best martini ordering in the whole series. Mai Lee,
Yeah.
I'm guessing Chinese girl or
Mm.
no Korean, probably, right? Is she Korean or
Are
Chinese?
they Korean or Cantonese?
I think they're supposed to be Korean, is what I
Okay.
think. Um, but the way he
Well,
says, go ahead.
the only reason I asked that is because I had the subtitles on
Yeah,
and it said whenever they were talking, it would say speaking Cantonese. So
really.
That
yeah,
makes a lot of sense.
Well,
yeah.
all right then. I guess
I
they're
don't
Chinese then.
I don't
Um,
know.
but whenever he tells her, she says, "What can I do for you?" and he says, "Just a drink, a martini, shaken, not stirred." I think that's the best
Oh yeah.
ordering of the whole series. And I love whenever he tells her, he says, "I want to, I want to get, better, like better looking, pretty much."
Yeah,
So he goes
presentable.
in and he's shaving, and he knows where all the little peepholes is, so he's
I love
spraying
that.
shaving cream, and he's like putting
Yes.
his suit up over it, and
I
yeah, like
love
he's
any
smart.
time there's a scene where Bond is like checking things out
Yes,
and finding bugs and little like peepholes and stuff.
and this is something that is part of my life that I took from this movie. My razor is literally like the same looking razor that Bond uses in that
Cool.
scene.
Uh,
Like I've got one looks exactly
you
like
have
it.
any? Yeah. What is it? Because I need one.
Well, the one I've got is called Van der Hagen, I believe, but it's not the same brand that Bond's using. But
I've used
it
one of
looks
those,
like it though.
believe it or not.
What?
I've used one of those for
Oh, really?
a good bit of time. For believe it or
Oh,
not, I have used it
cool.
some. So
Um,
I will say, kind of jumping back and forth because you brought up the airport. We didn't mention at the beginning of the movie whenever they load up Goldfinger's car. I had no idea that's how the back of planes opened up. And some planes at the time, I thought
yeah,
that was awesome. Like I like whenever they load cars up on the planes too. But it was just cool seeing that it had flipped out like that. And
Wait,
of course,
what are you referring to, real quick? I don't.
at the
so what?
beginning of the film, not the beginning, but like partway through the film, you've got Bond tracking Goldfinger, and you
Right.
see Bond at the airport sitting in the Aston Martin. But the part of the scene right before that, they show a shot of the plane, and you see a guy in one of those little airport like luggage
Baggage
Okay.
handlers?
Yeah.
right
Yeah.
under
Yeah.
the plane.
Yeah. Yeah. I know what you're talking about now. Sorry. Yeah.
But you see them loading Goldfinger's car up into
Mhm.
the back of the plane, and the back of the plane is like flipped out on a hinge so they can load the car into the back of. I think it's super cool,
Yeah.
and also it's implied that I guess they had to load up James's car as well.
Mm.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I thought that was cool. I'm sorry to jump back and forth, but the
Oh,
ADHD brain and the airport connection, it got me.
Most definitely.
My bad.
No problem at all, Colton. I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah, I didn't know that's the way they did that either. So I agree with you. Um, I do like. I mean, before I say what I was going to say, you know, we're like quite a ways through the movie, and we've just now been introduced to Pussy Galore, like the main Bond girl for the
yeah.
movie. Which I mean, like I referred to earlier, the novel is kind of like that too. The novel, I mean, you go most of the ways through the novel, and it seems like Tilly Masterton is going to be the main Bond girl,
Mm.
but it's actually Pussy Galore. I feel like the movie really did kind of portray Pussy Galore more than the novel did, because the novel, it was just like the last bit she becomes the main girl. I do like the scene where they get off the plane and Pussy Galore is taking Bond to get in the car with Oddjob,
Mm.
and Bond says, he says, he kills little girls like you, and she says, little boys too. I always like that
Hmm.
that
That
little
was a good line.
exchange right there.
Yeah.
So they go to a place in Kentucky, and where I'm at right now, I'm in Martin, very close to Kentucky. I actually go to Kentucky to use the liquor store there because where I'm at in Martin, we don't have liquor stores. It's dry county.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I didn't
So
know
I
that.
go up to Kentucky to get my liquor in Fulton. Um, they're not in Fulton though. They're at I think they said Bluegrassville, Kentucky. That's where Felix tells M. And let's talk about Felix for a minute. Colton, Felix Thunderbird that you were talking about earlier,
Yes.
the car. You notice that it's got the same little GPS thing that Bonds does.
I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I did too.
It shows that like even though even though they work for different intelligence
Yeah,
agencies for different countries, they still have similar tech and that
Yeah.
they're
It's like,
still advanced for their time period. So I thought that was really cool. And I like the Thunderbird too. Like that's a beautiful car. And they
sure
use
is. So Bond is taken to this stud farm, pretty much a horse farm. Kentucky's all about horse racing. I do love Bond whenever he's in the cell, how he plays with the Korean guard or the Cantonese guard, as Caleb
yeah.
said. He just crouches down in the.
Yeah, I love that.
that was the
That's
part of the movie that I told you like even but like if that had been in Doctor No or maybe even in From Russia with Love, it might have taken me out, but because of the way this film has carried Bond throughout it, like I was completely sold on it. I was like, that's not Sean Connery, that's James Bond.
Right.
Like he did it so well. And like even
Yeah.
when he was doing it, I knew he was messing with him. I didn't know what he was gonna do. When the guard opens up the door and Bond's gone, I'm like, where did he go? I'm
Yeah.
so confused.
and Bond sneaks out and he goes and gets under the model and he's seeing all these gangsters. And I just love some of the dialogue of the gangsters because you can tell they're all from different parts of the United States. There's one of them that says, "What is this, a hoods convention?" And the other one's like, "I will not do business with Chicago." Like they're all
Yeah.
these like just mafia groups that are like bickering against it. One of them's riding a
Yeah.
rodeo like bull. Like it's just so like just random. Like Goldfinger comes in there and I'm just gonna leave the pool part to you, Mr. Caleb Mabry.
Dude, I think that was just like a straight up prop. Like, so okay, if you don't know pool, it looks like a snooker table, okay, which is it's in the same class as pool. It's billiards. But the way the pockets are shaped, uh says it's a snooker table, but it's got pool balls. Okay. Um it's just that's conflicting. And then um one of the either Goldfinger or one of the mob guys is holding a snooker cue. So this is for the listeners' benefit. This isn't for y'all. So somebody out there who listens and knows has knowledge of pool and snooker and billiards. If they watch it, they can go into it with that little bit of useless knowledge. So
Was there a difference in the balls?
they're, yeah, different size. Yeah.
Okay, that
Mhm.
that makes a lot of sense. Like her,
Yep.
our snooker ball's larger,
No. Snooker balls are smaller. Uh,
smaller. Okay,
I don't think a pool ball would actually be able to go into a snooker table pocket.
well, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
No,
And
it does. No, it doesn't make sense. That's the thing. No.
oh no, what I'm saying is like it makes a lot of sense that you would. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously because
Yeah.
you are like as advanced in pool as you are, and that's like such a large part of your life. Like it makes sense that like that would
That
be
really stuck out. Yeah.
yeah.
No, this is a bit, dude. Like I don't care. Like I just did this for laughs.
Oh no, it's okay. So the way my brain works is like I like whenever stuff like that gets
Mhm.
brought up because
Yeah.
it's stuff that like they're like nobody will ever notice that in a million years, but like the
Yeah.
fact that you notice it, like
Mhm.
it's you already had something to bring to the channel anyway, like with your knowledge of Bond, but like your knowledge of pool aside, like it's just really cool. Like
What if that was the only thing? Like I just sat here quiet the whole time, and
You
then we
just
get
brought
and
up the
I'm like,
pool.
okay, listen, there's the pool table.
Yeah,
I've
like
been waiting to talk about this pool table.
yeah, I want to go ahead and say, for those who don't know, Mr. Caleb Mabry you got a YouTube channel, right, Caleb?
Yeah. Mhm.
And you need to most definitely plug that at the end of this,
Sure.
okay?
Yeah. Mhm.
Um, so one of the notes I have is the whole gangster thing. You know, Goldfinger, he does a whole speech about his plan for Fort Knox. Um, in the grand scheme of things, those gangsters, there is no point in them knowing this because Goldfinger is going to kill them anyway.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
thought that. I
Um,
thought that too.
and literally in my notes, I have how dumb all of this is underlined. Like, there is no point. Really, this is for us as the viewer. There's no point in him even telling those mobsters that.
Yeah.
Um, because he kills them all right after this. And of course, we get Pussy Galore, finding Bond out. She sends him right to Goldfinger.
Mm.
And one part that I really like is Goldfinger, he gives Bond. Does anybody remember what drink he gives Bond?
A mint julep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good job,
Dude.
Colton. Flat.
Yeah. That was a really good job. I had no idea.
That is like the Kentucky Derby drink is the mint julep.
Well, it stuck out to me because in the original Star Trek series, Doctor McCoy, he's like an old timey Southern style doctor, and like there's an episode where he's always bringing up mint juleps anyway. So whenever they mentioned mint julep, I was like, I didn't know what a mint julep looked like anyway. So it was really cool to see that.
Well, I don't know if you guys know, but I'm a big history person, and I'm big into the presidents. And our president Teddy Roosevelt, he was really big into mint juleps. He
Cool.
would invite people over to the White House to play tennis with him, and would make the promise of mint juleps to get them to come over and play tennis with him because
Was he from Kentucky?
I think he was from New York.
Oh, that makes
Okay.
But I guess he liked whiskey and
Have you ever
mint.
tried one yourself?
Yes, I've made myself some, and they're very, very nice. You would
Okay.
like them. Are you a
Cool.
whiskey drinker, Caleb?
Uh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
Whatever. Yeah.
yeah, you would like them.
You know, if we ever get to do a live episode of this podcast, like all three of us be in person or something, I
Yeah.
think it would be cool if we could just do some mixed drinks for
Oh, that's a really good idea.
That's
just
an
show how
awesome
some of
idea,
them are
Colton.
made and everything. I think that would be a good segment.
Well, what if I just have some natty light? Will that be all right?
Hey, that sounds good to me, bud.
I can't really drink much anyway, so
Hey, I love a good old natty light.
I don't.
I do. Hey, I love cheap beer, man. So we're gonna go ahead and get into the part that both of y'all referred to earlier. It does get a little bit rapey in the stable, does it not? You would
Yeah.
never see
before
this in a movie nowadays.
before we get to the rapey scene, I do want to say something about the lair, the Kentucky lair.
Okay.
Like it is at that point in the movie to where I can tell that something's up and that it is not about money because the amount of money that Goldfinger spent on turning that lair into a secret room with an
Uh-huh.
entire full scale miniature mock up of Fort Knox. The amount of money to make something that detailed and to have the flip up pool table and the drop down windows, the amount of money spent in that is not inconceivable compared to like the amount of money he could actually get out of Fort Knox. Like you'd be better off saving your money than you would to like spend on all that. Like that's when I knew it wasn't about the money.
Well, one interesting thing about that scene, whenever they're drinking the mint julep, Colton, is Bond says, it would be crazy to break into Fort Knox because of all the military that's around it. You're not going to get time to steal it.
Mm.
Which
Right.
Goldfinger is like, well, I'm not going to steal anything. And that's when Bond deduces, okay, the Red Chinese have gave Goldfinger a atomic bomb.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Correct.
Caleb, you probably remember this, but in the novel, and this is
Yes.
in the novel, literally Goldfinger's plan was to steal the gold out of Fort Knox.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask you. That's how I remember it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a line that Bond says at the when they're having drinks. He says, I've done the math.
Yeah.
It'll take you days to truck this stuff out. Like, and then the military's going to show up. They're going to make you put it back.
Yeah. And I think it would be like 12,000 trucks or some like insane amount of trucks that it would take to hold all the gold in Fort Knox.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like in the novel, if I remember correctly, I think Goldfinger actually does get all the gold out, but he gets stopped before he gets away with it. But I think he actually does steal a lot of the gold.
What was his means of moving the gold out in the novel?
Some trucks.
Just fun. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Like Caleb brought up, just the fact that Bond did he did the calculations, like the math. He didn't have anything in Excel, so he did that in his head. That is like ridiculous. That shows how ridiculously intelligent Bond would be.
I think he was just bored.
Yeah, more than likely.
But yeah, like the whole you talked about Katie walking in on the little bit rapey scene.
It's definitely rapey. Like,
I was
like, this is bad.
I was thinking if you saw that scene today, it would not be the good guy doing that. It would be the bad guy doing that, forcing himself on a woman.
Yeah.
And I think we've probably talked about that enough. We can just go ahead and just
that's fine. Yeah, it's good enough.
Move on to something else because there really is no way we can.
You can't class that up any. It
is what it is. It was 1964, and
I will say that like you guys bring up the Pussy Galore was a lesbian in the novel.
Mm.
I guess you could say that her forcing like trying to resist is like maybe she's a lesbian in this too, and she just didn't want to give in to the pressure.
I think we're actually like supposed to think that anyway because Bond made multiple attempts to flirt with her on the plane,
and she said, "I'm immune."
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Well, so in the novel, she explains later on in the novel that the reason why she is a lesbian is because her, I believe, uncle raped her whenever she was a little girl. And this just tells you how it was. I think that novel came out in 1957, and Bond really just he after she tells him this, he says, well, all you need is some TLC. Now, that is most definitely not all you need if you are still recovering from childhood trauma. You know what I mean?
No.
That's definitely
that's definitely not what you need. But yeah, it's it really is something that talks about how different, even so 57 and 64, how different those years are to today. You know what I mean? That would not be a sexual thing that you would, force yourself onto somebody who's already a victim of rape. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like you just wouldn't do that. Like
that's just really trauma for
right
the cost of admission.
Dude, that's gonna be an expensive therapy bill.
Yeah.
I would like to not to jump off the rape and the trauma subject. I would like it is implied that the place in Kentucky they're at is Kitty Galore's, correct?
I always thought it was Goldfinger's.
Yeah,
Okay, so it's Goldfinger's place. So, which I couldn't tell. I mean, it would make sense that it's Goldfinger's place because of the money put into it. But
But her flying circus was there, right?
right, what I was going to say about the flying circus is it's not mentioned in the movie that she has a flying circus, other than the context clues you get from all the posters and of course the uniforms of the girls in the circus. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay, that was something that I had to get from context clues, like the poster and whatnot. So
Um,
that was my
on
question about it.
on the I could be remembering it wrong, but on the hanger, doesn't it say Pussy Galore's Flying Circus, or does it just say Flying Circus?
It says Pussy Galore's Flying Circus. That was how I even found out about it, because I was just like,
Okay.
this woman trains people at an airport. That's what I got.
Mm.
And then like I saw the poster and I was like, that's what led me to my thought process for the question. So.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, a good observation, Colton. So then we go to Fort Knox, and we see that the Americans there are not actually dead, are they?
No,
Right.
you see Felix Leiter, which is like a giveaway in a way. Like, at first I thought like Felix was dead because he doesn't open his eyes or anything.
Hold on. I gotta share with you guys. So when my wife, when we were watching the movie, she was like, "Oh no, they killed Felix." And I was like, "That's odd. They'll find a new actor." And
I mean,
but no, continue. So I thought it was funny.
Yeah, I
it
got
is
you. I
funny.
like that. But we see the inside of Fort Knox. We see some great set work there. Of course, we see Bond fight Odd Job, and I really like the way Odd Job is killed. You know, he gets fried, and
Mm.
I love the way Bonds refers to him. He blew a fuse when that guy says,
Yeah,
when
yeah.
Felix says, "Where's your butler friend?" He blew a fuse.
Oh wait, it just occurred to me. This is the second
Yeah,
guy that he's electrocuted to
in the same
death.
film,
Yeah,
Yeah,
in the same movie.
shocking.
he's got an MO.
Yeah.
One thing I want to bring up is Goldfinger would literally sacrifice the one guy that would stay with him no matter what, because
Yeah.
he left Odd Job in Fort Knox with him. He would
Yeah,
the one guy that would be with him to the end.
and dude, he stays loyal to Goldfinger, even knowing that.
Knowing that
He's
he's being sacrificed, he still
yeah.
does.
He's and oh, I wanted to mention this guy too, the scientist.
Yes.
I think he's overlooked. Like I don't know his name. But he's a creepy looking dude, and I think he plays that part well, even though it's like a really small part. But he's like, I can take the fuse out. We can at least not get blown up. And Oddjob's like, no,
Yeah, I'm just gonna kill you.
this is it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
like the fact that the scientist was trying to flip it on him, and Oddjob was still dead set on going through the plan, shows his irrational determination to stay loyal. Like,
Yes.
it really cements his status as a lackey. Well, probably not a lackey, but like I don't know what you would call him, but like
Henchman.
a henchman. There you go. Like, it shows his dedication. Like, I like that about him.
so the Bond, Bond is screwing around with the bomb, and finally Felix and the other guy, which I don't even know if his name is referred to in it. They come down and they defuse the bomb. So the bomb is got 007 seconds left, right?
Yeah.
But Bond says
three more ticks.
3 more ticks, and Mr. Goldfinger will hit the jackpot. So I guess Bond just can't do math.
Even though he's already done math.
Yeah, I was about to say
Even though he was doing insane math earlier.
Yeah, he was doing like Rain Man stuff earlier, and
Yes.
it's like, well, now that is part of the Rain Man's condition. He can't do simple math, so Bond's autistic.
That's right. Bond's on.
Yep, that makes a lot of sense.
That's why he's so dude. That's why he's so good at cards at Casino Royale, dude.
Also shows why it's so awkward during rape scenes.
Anyway, moving on from that.
I'm so sorry.
I do like Felix. He says, "I wonder what made her switch the gas in the canisters." And Bond says, "I must have appealed to her maternal instincts." I remember my wife the first time we saw Goldfinger. My wife thought that was the just the worst thing she ever.
That's not good.
He's got a lot of confidence in himself.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Bond, he's going to go get lunch with the president. And as I've already stated, I'm a president guy. This was 1964. Of course, you know who got assassinated a little bit before that.
Abraham Lincoln.
Well, I see
Kennedy.
that y'all are not president guys.
It was
Dude,
Kennedy.
I know. Yes.
Okay, so weird tidbit. So like I was born like 30 years to the day like that JFK died.
Really?
Cool.
Yeah, like JFK died on November 22nd, 1963, and I was born November 22nd, 1993.
Oh,
So like
happy
anybody
birth-
listening to
happy
this
birthday.
podcast. Do what?
What?
What'd you say?
I said happy birthday.
Happy birthday,
It's not my
Colton.
birthday, but thank you. You're pulling a Frosty the Snowman here. Happy birthday.
So that would be the president that Bond was going to see would be
Right.
Lyndon Baines Johnson, who is one of my
Correct.
favorite presidents. I do like that Felix says, "I told the stewardess liquor for 3." And Bond says, "Well, who are the other 2?" And he says, "There are no other 2."
Yeah.
That
was.
And of course, we get Bond on the plane, and who else would be there but Goldfinger, decked out like he's a general with his golden gun. Of course, this is not the man with the golden gun, but it's a golden gun nonetheless. Thoughts about this? Anybody?
I love Bond's line when he says, "I say you got a promotion."
Yeah, I like
That's
that.
so dude, that's so funny.
Most definitely.
It was good. It was really good. Man. So early in the movie, whenever they were first on the plane with Pussy Galore, and Bond's talking about her, she doesn't need to shoot him because they'll get sucked out into outer space.
Yep.
They're not that high, like in the air or whatever. I thought that was kind of like I guess you would say a cringe line or whatever.
Yeah.
Like for the time period, like it was just for dramatic effect, I guess.
Dude, this is pre-moon landing. We didn't know about space, so
Yeah, you got a point
We
there, don't
did,
you?
but
I
This
know what
is
you mean.
pre-moon landing.
I was just like, I don't know, just the fact that he said that, like, I was like, come on, James. But again, the time period, I get it. So
yeah.
I'm not talking bad about it. Like, I don't have many bad things at all to say about this movie at all. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's perfect, but like to me, like, I would say I love this film.
Dude,
Yeah.
I'm a huge Bond fan, so I've spent hours thinking of like excuses for every like
Inconsistency.
inaccurate, inconsistent thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just now I thought of, well, we've already established this is like a fantastical universe, so maybe that's how planes operate in the Bond
In
universe.
Bond's
So
universe.
yeah, so
Yeah. And of course we get our ending with Bond putting the parachute over Pussy Galore, and that's it. So
Now
I'm gonna
no
be
time
straight.
to be rescued.
What? Yeah, now's no time to.
oh
He's-
yes, yeah.
And you see Felix up in that helicopter. He does not look that happy. He's like, you can tell Felix is like, "Damn it, Bond! Like really,
We're using
like, you gonna make me-"
taxpayer money right now
Yeah,
to
like-
look for you.
He's like, I am so sick of you just having sex with women when I'm trying to
Yep.
find you, James.
Um,
He's like, I would have 2 nickels now for every time that you've done this to me.
yeah, like I'm just gonna have to echo the same thoughts that both of you guys and myself have had throughout the movie. Throughout the podcast. I love Goldfinger.
Yeah.
That's the easiest way to put it. It's if it's not my favorite, it is at least in probably the top three. If not the top three, it's the top five.
The
It
way
doesn't go.
the way I described it to Colton was this is the blueprint, dude. I mean,
This is
this is where everything I heard it described as this is where all the Bond elements come into focus, and that
Yeah.
could not be more true, dude. I mean,
Exactly.
this is Bond to its core. Like, yeah,
Yes.
this is the quintessential Bond movie.
I really believe that. Like this movie checked all the Bond boxes for
Yes.
me. You got spy, you got Q scene, you got badass car, you got a great chase scene, and you got lovely Bond women. Like
Yeah.
I don't. This one is great. Like it's like what you said. Like you were right. So
Yeah.
thank you, Caleb.
And I mean, every Bond movie after this is going to try at least to be as good, if not better,
Man,
than
I don't think any movie ever came close to
Yeah.
nailing it as
Yeah.
well as this movie did. And some got really close. It's not saying the rest of them are bad, but just none of them really stuck it like this one, I guess.
I agree. Um, as I said before, I do feel like this is Connery's best portrayal as Bond. Um, I feel like the Bond girl in this movie is great. I feel like Honor Blackman did a great job as Pussy Galore. I feel like the other women in the movie did a great job too. I think the villain in this movie is great. There's only one other villain that I think is better than Art Goldfinger. I do think that Odd Job is the best Bond henchman. I do think that the Aston Martin DB5 is the best Bond car.
Yep.
I can't say enough good things about this movie.
Mm.
I would prefer it to the book. A lot of the times, I like
Oh
books
yeah,
more than I do movies. I like the movie more than I do the book here.
yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, but
Um,
based on what little I can remember of the book, the movie is just man. I really want to say something about like maybe this is due to the editing, or maybe it's just a culmination of all the the cast and crew. But dude, this movie just like trucks ahead. The pacing's so good.
Yeah.
It definitely. Honestly, if I didn't look up the run times, I would say this movie felt shorter than all the other. Like maybe it's just because I didn't want it to end. Like
Yeah.
I enjoyed this movie so much. Like it really does move along better than the other two. I think they just nailed the formula.
Yeah.
For the way they did this one perfectly.
Couldn't say it better, Colton. That was perfect.
Yeah.
Well, if I could sum up this movie in one word for me as a person that's just getting into Bond, really, I would say this film is iconic. Like if somebody told me Sean Connery was their favorite James Bond, and I needed if they said Goldfinger was the reason they thought Connery was their favorite Bond, I'd be like, okay, man, I'll take
Yeah.
that. I'm not going to argue with you on any of that anyway. So
Yeah, I like that. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
If you were to sum this movie up in one word, it's iconic.
Iconic. Sometimes people ask me, they say, hey, I've never seen a Bond movie. They know that I'm into Bond, so they say, well, if I wanted to watch one, what would I watch? And Goldfinger and GoldenEye are the two that
Oh.
that I give out
Yep.
as the ones to watch. Like I
Mhm.
just it's just a coincidence they both have gold in the name, but
Yeah.
but I just think there's just something that's very it's easy to get into. It's not gatekeepy. You don't have to know what's going on. You come right in and it welcomes you right in.
That's another thing that I love so much about the older Bond movies, dude. Like they knew that their audience, well, most of their audience maybe wasn't gonna keep up with the series
Exactly.
like religiously. So each movie had to be like its own self-contained story, and dude, man, that's so much better than like trying to shoehorn in like connective tissue and
Yes.
just it's okay to be your own movie.
Yes.
I think the I think I said in the last episode that like I think that's something that's ruined cinema in general. Like a film, they don't make a movie to stand on its own anymore, and that
No.
it's really disappointing because in today's time you would not get a film like Goldfinger. Like if you look at it, even No Time to Die, if you didn't watch
Spectre.
Casino Royale, you wouldn't know who Vesper was. You wouldn't know why
Exactly.
the gravesite. Like if you didn't watch what was it, Spectre, you wouldn't know his ties to Blofeld or any of that. Like,
Or
and I'm not
Leia
saying that
Seydoux character, or
right. And I'm not saying that I have a problem with all those connective tissues because they make for a good storyline, and I'm not complaining about those movies in general. I'm just saying, like, you don't get, if you died after seeing Goldfinger and never saw any other James Bond movies, I'm not saying you wouldn't miss a lot, but like you still have a great idea of what James Bond is, in my opinion.
Yes. Yep, I agree.
I agree.
I can think of a lot of instances where the whole universe building, trying to have everything connected, is more of a detriment than.
I can agree.
Yeah,
Could not agree more.
yeah, because like, man, there's so many instances where like so much story is wasted saying, hey, don't forget this movie, and don't forget this movie's coming up. Where it's like, man, just like.
Just enjoy yourself, you know.
You could have driven the plot forward. You could have had, you could have done anything. I don't know.
You can take way more risks in a film if you're not worried about the next 3 coming after it.
Yes, dude. Yeah.
Like it you can make such a better film if you're not worried.
And I'm not saying that having different characters and stuff connected, I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
No.
Like it's really cool. And in some instances that can be a positive, but it's like don't dwell on that. Like tell your story, and then whatever comes out next, we'll watch it, and it'll be its own self-contained thing. So
I couldn't agree with you more.
I'm gonna say this, and this will be what I close on, because I feel like we've really went over our time on this.
Oh, dude, but man, this is Goldfinger. Like
Yeah,
we had to. Yeah,
we had to.
We're not complaining. Like this film is worth it for me.
Yes, I'm gonna say this. I'm a Bond fan with a lot of unconventional ideas. I mean, I'm that guy that likes Never Say Never Again. I like the 1967 spoof version of Casino Royale. I love, The Living Daylights and License to Kill. I'm gonna be honest with you. I even like old Die Another Day. I'm not gonna lie to you. Yeah, and Kayla Mabry's out. but my most conventional mainstream it's definitely Goldfinger. I think it's as good as everybody says it is by far. And I can't say it's not worth the hype. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think I would say that even if you don't like James Bond in general, I think if you watch Goldfinger just as a film by itself, I think you'll enjoy it.
Most definitely.
Yes, absolutely.
Even if you don't like it, I think you'll walk away like, you know what, I might watch some more James Bond films after this.
Yeah. At the risk of making this longer, I do want to bring up something that I forgot about that I really wanted to bring up. So there's a shot where we see the planes going over Fort Knox. The producer, Albert R. Broccoli, is that right? Okay. He got permission from Fort Knox security, or maybe the U.S. military, to get that shot, to achieve that shot where the planes fly over. But he was only, I think he was only granted like he could only fly the planes over like 3,000 feet, and he basically was like, oh well, that's that won't look good. So he told the pilots, he was like, just fly over it like 500 feet, it'll be okay. And the U.S. military or security, like I said, I'm not sure, but they got really pissed. So I thought that was really funny. It's that in itself is like really James Bond-esque. And one more thing, this is the first movie directed by Guy Hamilton.
Yeah.
Terrence Young directed Dr. No and From Russia with Love, and you might have brought this up already. If just in case you didn't, Terrence Young had a lot of influence.
Sure did.
On how Sean Connery portrayed Bond on screen, and I think that's it's a really important detail. I think that's for new fans. That's a really important thing to know. Just
Yeah.
and this being Guy Hamilton's first film, and I think he went on to direct like 4 or 5 more. This is his best.
Yeah, by
Like,
far.
yeah. And he knocked it out of the park with this one.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, like you're right on one thing. I did not bring up Terrence Young, and it was weird because whenever we were doing Doctor No, I thought in my head whenever I was going over it, I was like, I need to bring up Terrence Young, but I never
yeah,
did. And yeah, Guy Hamilton, he did this movie, and his other one that I really think was really good was of course he did this movie and he did Diamonds Are Forever, and he did Live and Let Die, which I think is up
yeah.
there with
Okay,
Goldfinger. I mean, I think it's
I agree. Yeah.
I, yeah,
Yeah. It seems like I knew that about Live and Let Die, but I didn't know he directed Diamonds Are Forever.
yeah, which
Dude, he dropped the ball on that one.
yeah,
Uh,
which
Is
I
that the one
like
with the,
Diamonds,
the
but
Mustang?
it's yeah, that is the one with the Mustang, Colton.
I hate that car.
oh, which one?
The Mach 1.
The
Oh,
red one.
dude, you don't like that car? Yeah, a lot of
No.
people don't.
I,
Dude, I
I
think
love the
it's
car. I think
we're
it's
we're
great.
getting way off track, and I know you're
Yep.
I'm
trying to wrap
sorry.
it. You're trying to wrap it up. Let me say this: I love, dude, I love that car because it deviates from all the other body styles
Yeah.
so much. And
It's better
because
than the Fox body.
I was
I'll
about
say
to
that.
say the same could be said about the Fox body, and like if I was to have to choose between those two, I'm choosing the Mach One.
Yeah, Mach
Like,
1.
Oh yeah, all day
yeah.
Hey,
long.
hey, Colton, I remember your daddy talking shit about you because you like the Fox body.
Oh no,
Hey, look, man.
dude.
Look, okay. So I will say that I like all Mustangs for the most part.
Yeah.
Like I'm a Ford fanatic. Uh, the reason I say I hate the Mach 1 is just because like I like the Aston Martins so much that I did not like that they had him driving a Mustang in that film. So I don't think the car is ugly, and
Yeah.
I would drive a Mach 1 Mustang. Like I don't know if you've ever seen the original Gone in 60 Seconds.
I have. I love
Uh,
it.
well, I mean that's the same body style
Yep.
car in that film. So
I think it's got the same paint scheme and everything,
uh,
right? Or it's pretty
that
close.
it's possible. I
Yeah.
again, it's been some time since I've seen it. Like a long time, but it's not my problems with the body style per se. It's just the fact that it's James Bond driving
An
a
American. Yeah,
Mustang
I got
instead
you.
of
That makes sense. Yeah.
so.
So in a few movies, we will be talking about this, and I have some things to say about the Mustang. So you just wait, Colton, all right? And we
I'm
will.
ready, dude.
All
I'm
right.
ready.
So before we end this, guys, Caleb and Colton, I want you to tell the audience how they could get in get in contact with you or see whatever you do on social media.
Okay.
Well, go
Go
ahead,
ahead.
Caleb.
My number is no, I'm just kidding. Uh, my YouTube channel, I've changed it a dozen times. I think it's Break Shot Billiards. If you guys want to check out some really boring pool videos,
They're not that boring at
uh,
all.
They're not boring at all. I've seen them.
okay.
You got some really cool videos.
That's yeah. That's I think it's yeah. That's all I got.
And you can just find me on Facebook at Colton Flat, and just if you got any questions for me, that's where you find me.
And of course, I'm at For Your Eyes Only on YouTube and For Your Eyes Only on Twitter. Or it's either that or my name, Lynham Jonathan, on Twitter. It's one of the two. But yeah, guys, thanks so much for coming on here. And Caleb, I am expecting you back for
Cool.
Thunderball if you can make it, my boy.
Well, I'm glad you guys enjoyed my appearance.
Most
So,
definitely. I
dude,
like it.
I had a lot of nerves going into this. So, yeah.
The first one's always the test. So
Okay.
First cut is the deepest.
Hey,
yeah.
real quick, I don't know if we mentioned that while we were recording, but
Oh
I
yeah.
wanted
Oh,
to show
Sean Connery.
my Sean Connery portrait. So,
Yeah, I really do love that. And I want to say one last thing before we stop. Today is one day. So yesterday, the 25th of August, was when Sean Connery was born in 1930. So we are one day from Connery's birthday. So he would,
Cool.
if he was still alive today, he'd be what, 93 years old?
Yeah,
Yeah.
didn't you guys didn't Dr. No land on some kind of anniversary?
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
when Fleming died, wasn't it, Colton?
It's kind
Oh,
of nuts.
yeah.
Well, we
Dude,
just
that's
keep on getting on
weird.
these anniversaries.
We
Yeah.
didn't even plan for that. So
No.
it's
Yeah.
one of them.
So one thing I want to touch on is the theme song. So I would probably say, discounting the James Bond theme, I would probably say that the Goldfinger theme song is probably the most famous of all the Bond songs. Let me hear what you guys got to say about that.
Yeah, it's definitely the most famous. And it's top five for me. Honestly, it's one of my favorites. It's top five, and also I think it sort of set the template for Bond songs to come. Um, they all kind of follow the same sort of pattern, I guess.
Colton, what do you think about it, my boy?
Well, I haven't heard as many of the franchise's songs as you have. So like whenever I watched this movie, this song like really stuck out for me. Like it was pretty much a banger. Like I even found myself like singing it a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
even as old as it is, and of course, I mean, I like old music, but like it seems like, dude, it holds up. Like I would compare it to Adele Skyfall, honestly.
yeah. I would pick it
Yeah.
over Adele
Oh yeah, yeah,
Skyfall.
yeah. I
Yeah,
would too, honestly.
yeah,
But I'm just saying, like in terms of uh re-listenability,
yeah,
if
yeah.
that
Okay, I
makes
understand what you're saying.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
and I know that sounded rough. I actually really like Adele's
Oh yeah,
Skyfall,
no, I understand. Yeah,
but
to that detriment, like I'd heard Adele Skyfall before I even watched Skyfall.
I
Like
think a lot of people did.
yeah,
if that shows
yeah.
how popular that is.
I don't know if that was if it was the same way back then. I know now, when like midway through production or basically like whenever they get the Bond song ready, they will release a radio version or maybe like a album version just to probably as part of the promotion. So I wonder if there's another version of that song out there.
Might be. I know there's an instrumental version,
Okay.
which just with like a twangy guitar, it's really good, like really
Okay.
nice. Um, the lady that did Goldfinger, Shirley Bassey, she did she did two more Bond songs.
Which
Uh,
ones did she do?
so she did Diamonds Are Forever, which is Colton. If you've not heard it, in my opinion, it's a banger too.
I've
Oh,
watched uh a, a good majority of Diamonds Are Forever, but I honestly do not remember the song because it's been over a year since I attempted to watch that film. So
I love the song "Diamonds Are Forever," and she also did the song for Moonraker, which is probably one of my least favorite songs of the franchise. And I think she actually put a few albums out of her covering other Bond songs. So I mean, she's got a
oh,
pretty big history of with the Bond series. It's really cool.
that's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think I looked
Um,
it up on Wikipedia about that.
I can sort of, if I think hard enough, I can remember like little snippets of Diamonds Are Forever. I cannot remember anything about Moonraker's title theme.
Yeah,
Like so,
yeah, me neither.
yeah, I think you're right.
it's not as loud and bombastic as Goldfinger or Diamonds Are Forever's theme song is.
That
It's more
that's the word right there,
yeah,
bombastic.
bombastic.
That if you had to sum up Goldfinger theme in one word, that's it. Because it's so like as soon as you see the hand come up, it's like blah blah, and it's
Yeah.
like yeah.
And it's funny you bring that up, Caleb, because there's another Bond song that starts with that boing boing. It's License to Kill.
You're right.
It
Yeah.
does that same thing.
Yes.
It's kind of interesting, like
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I love that
I
film,
never put
and I
that
don't remember the
together.
score.
um, so moving on from the song, and really I think we really didn't talk about this as much as we should have. What about the set design, especially the Fort Knox?
Yes,
You know,
that. Go ahead.
it's just great. One thing that I do want to say, and you might already know this, Caleb, because I know you like the behind the scenes stuff, but
Sure.
you know, the United States government, they would not let the
Oh yeah.
film producers, they wouldn't let them come in and film in Fort Knox.
Yes, especially a film crew from England.
Yeah. But you know, Ken Adam, the set designer, he after he made his Goldfinger set, the United States government actually contacted him and says, how did you come up with that?
Yeah.
So I guess it must have been a little bit similar at least.
Okay. I've got a theory. I wonder if it really was similar,
Yeah.
or if they were like, let's write him this letter saying how close that is,
Yeah.
just so people will think, there's nothing like how it really is.
Yeah.
But no, it's, man, that set is so it's gorgeous to look at, even though it's really prison like.
Yeah.
If you, it's, with the bars, but it's just so neat to look at. And I want to add real quick, Guy Hamilton actually, I think it was Guy Hamilton that was sort of opposed to the more prison-like look. And I think Ken Adam maybe persuaded him. And I'm glad that's how it went down, because man, I really, I can't think of any better way to design,
Yeah.
Fort Knox.
Ken Adam is just a genius. That's
Oh yeah.
the easiest way to put it.
Hey,
Right.
I think he is a really crucial part of why the series is so
Yeah.
successful. Of course, you
Yeah.
get the locations, but his set designs are just incredible.
Incredible. Colton, you got anything to add to that, my boy?
Well, my main thing is like after seeing the film, like that's how you would imagine the inside of Fort Knox would look anyway.
Mhm.
Like, because all my life I've heard like locked up tighter than Fort Knox or different like euphemisms, and like so my thing is like it's also kind of a bit of a tangent, but like it looking like that and you having a perception of that, and it goes back to you saying that they told him that they might have told him that it looked that accurate just to throw him off the trail or
Yeah, I
whatever.
probably not, but
Well, like another theory is like, man, do you really think the United States would really keep their gold in someplace that famous anyway? Like,
that's a good
like
point.
a diversion.
Yeah. Hey, real
Sorry.
quick, since we're talking about Fort Knox, the scenes leading up to the interior, them going in and setting the bomb up, when they're spraying the gas, I'm sure you guys noticed all the soldiers passing out or pretending to pass out. That those were the same extras, just set up like they'd pass out in one location and they'd all move and do it again, and it was all the same extras. I thought that was pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
they did
so
a good
it's
job of
sort of
recreating
a,
them.
yeah, and it was for a movie with such a large budget, it's sort of that's a low budget way of doing
Yeah.
it.
Very cost effective.
Yeah.
So I just want to take a bit of time to talk about just the cultural impact of Goldfinger. Now, don't get me wrong, Dr. No and From Russia with Love, they were, big hits. They were both successes, made well over what their budget was. But I mean, Goldfinger is really what started a whole just spy craze during the 60s, the spy mania, Bond mania. You had Beatle mania,
Mm,
but at the same time you had Bond mania too. You know,
absolutely.
I mean, back then Bond was everywhere. You had board games, little toy odd jobs, and the corgi cars, which I'm in love with. Since just a little personal fact about me: the first corgi Bond car I got was the Goldfinger Aston Martin DB5. My mom got me that when I was in, I think, third grade, and I still have
Cool.
it. It's out in the bar. Still
That's
have it.
pretty cool.
Um, so what do y'all think about the cultural aspect of Goldfinger?
Well, I think it's a really significant thing to know. If you're a Bond fan or if you're a new Bond fan, it's that's a really important aspect to just to address, just to have in the back of your mind because like Goldfinger was, I want to say it was probably as big as the event or Avengers Endgame
Yeah.
was, back in what was it, 2019?
Yeah.
That was Goldfinger wasn't a movie when it got released. It was an event,
Yes.
in the same vein as Endgame. And and like you said, Jonathan, it really set the standard for not just Bond films going forward, but the spy genre, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you could look at. I mean, there's just like several movies like, and I don't know if you guys ever watched these, but there's the if I can speak correctly, Our Man Flint. That spy spoof movie, and there was the Matt Helm series with Dean Martin, and just a bunch of movies that came out that were either trying to spoof Bond or basically just copy the Bond formula and make
Yeah.
their own little version of it.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't think I'm familiar with any of those. I would probably recognize like footage if I seen it, but yeah, I just didn't know it by name.
I got you.
I've never heard
Uh,
of it myself either. Although
okay.
I've heard some of the actors.
Now,
Um,
wasn't Mission Impossible wasn't that series influenced?
oh
Would you
yeah,
say? Okay.
I would most definitely say that. Yeah.
Well, I couldn't remember what came first. Obviously, Bond did. Now that I think about it, so yeah, there's another example, I guess.
Yeah. Um, and so this is the first movie to come out come out after the death of Ian Fleming as well.
Mm,
Fleming, there's pictures of him talking to Sean Connery and Shirley Eaton,
yeah,
uh, during the filming of Goldfinger, but he actually died um, before the movie came out. So,
yeah.
eh,
It's a sort of a cruel twist of fate
yeah,
in
like
a
because
way.
this is really the one that made Bond a worldwide like just phenomenon.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
Phenomenon's a great word for it because that's what it
thank you.
was. Um, yeah, like I said, sort of a cruel twist of fate, man. Because like he never really got to see the height of what
Yes.
his creation would amount to. So
I
Yes.
do have a question. Considering the time period and how films were made so differently in the day,
mm,
like with Ian Fleming's passing, obviously, like being a factor, keeping him from having anything to do with the future films because he's dead.
mm.
But like prior to his passing, like, did they give him any input other than what he had already written in his books? Like, would they ask him for advice on things? Like, because
I
nowadays I know they do with writers and stuff, but
yeah.
I don't think it was a commonplace thing back in the day. Back in the day, I'm pretty sure you're just happy your book was getting turned into a movie. Period.
Well, here's sort of the vibe I get. I don't know this for a fact, but like I think Jonathan mentioned it in y'all's Doctor No episode that Ian Fleming was sort of opposed to Sean Connery being Bond because he
Yeah.
was kind of a country boy. So with knowing that, I want to say the producers were like, Go back to writing books, man. We got this."
I mean that makes a lot of sense. I was just like, I was just wondering if, which I mean, I'm sure stuff like that wouldn't have been recorded other than his opposition to Connery. Like,
Yeah,
whether I mean, they could have just asked his opinion on anything. I was wondering if you guys knew of any like
I have
tidbits
no
in
clue.
relation to
But
that. So
yeah, I don't know, but that's a good question.
That is a good question, Colton, and it's one that I don't know. I mean, there's several pictures of Fleming with, say, Albert Broccoli and um, Harry Saltzman and Sean Connery and some of the females leads, but I really don't know besides his words about Connery. I'm not sure of if any real things got changed because of Fleming's input.
Mm.
Um, I really don't know.
Yeah, I think that's most of the input that you see in the film probably came from the directors themselves.
Yeah.
If I
I
yeah.
figured that's how it was at the time, but I just wanted to make sure, just in case there's anything that you guys might have known that, of course, I wouldn't, because I'm pretty
Uh,
fresh to the franchise.
yeah, that I'm definitely gonna look that up, and I'll bring it up next time I'm on if I find anything
Sounds
noteworthy.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll look it up as well. Yeah, we'll do a little bit of homework for next time.
Mm.
A little
Um,
late, but we got it.
yeah. um, so just and I should have brought this up when we were talking about the title song, but just the score altogether in the movie, I think it has a great score, and
Oh
I think
yeah.
it's by far improved from the previous two, especially Doctor No. Doctor No to me, I love it, but it's got almost like a Looney Tunes like style of doing some of
Yep.
the score to it, like some of the sound effects they use.
The tarantula scene where
That
he's
that
yeah.
that's the one that sticks out. Yep.
It's ridiculous.
Mm.
It really is.
Hey, speaking of spiders, real quick, have you guys ever like seen like a big spider crawling across a room and you like maybe you notice it before you hit it, or maybe you unfortunately you smash it and a bunch of babies scatter across the floor?
Oh my God, it is
Have you done that
nightmare.
before?
Yes, not
I
in the
dude,
house.
I'm that would have been more terrifying in the movie than a tarantula to me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, because now he's smashed this spider and now there's a million little babies crawling around. I hit some I saw a spider not too long ago crawling across the floor like under my pool table, and I had some brake clean. That's all I had. And I
Yeah.
sprayed it. You know how pressurized that stuff is. It comes out like so it blows the spider over, and I see these little specks just scatter across the floor. I'm like, what is that? And I go look closer. I was like, oh God! Took the brake clean and just
This is really veering off course, but I'm gonna tell you this because you brought up the baby spiders. There is one of the John Gardner continuation novels in which the villains put baby spiders into a sandwich that Bond
oh.
orders, and Bond and the Bond girl are about to eat, and
Mm,
Bond's like looking at his sandwich and he sees little tiny spider. It is one of the nastiest scenes. Like it is terrible.
I hope he had some brake clean.
Yeah,
Ugh,
he had to get the brake clean for that.
man, I'm pretty sure if spiders had came out of that other spider, you'd have seen Bond burn down a hotel.
Yeah.
There wouldn't have been a From Russia with Love.
No,
Um,
definitely not.
so
Well, I got a question for you specifically, Jonathan. So you know me and Colton, since Colton is, I think this is the first time you've watched like Doctor No, From Russia with Love, and Goldfinger. Like you're watching them for the purpose of the show, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. Like
Okay,
I'd seen the other two previous to this, but like I didn't watch them with such close intent
okay,
as I did Goldfinger. And
right.
Goldfinger, it was Goldfinger's first time, so
Well, okay. So, what I'm getting to, so I'm revisiting the movies as well, just so they're fresh on my mind when we talk about them. What about you, Jonathan? Are you getting to revisit them, or are you just going by your what
uh,
knowledge you have?
yeah, I'm revisiting them. But I mean, usually at least once a year, I will rewatch them all.
All? No kidding.
Oh yeah,
wow,
Okay, cool.
that's
I
a
know.
lot.
I admire that.
and
Um,
it's just and my stepdaughter, she likes to watch them a lot. So we'll every now and then she'll want to watch a Bond movie, so we'll put one on. And
that's cool. So the question that I wanted to ask is, when you I guess since you rewatch them once a year, do you ever find any of your opinions changing on certain films?
oh, by far, yes, by far.
Okay. What about
Uh,
this one in particular?
Goldfinger is one that it has stayed one of my favorites ever since I was in second grade. Man,
Yeah.
I've always liked Goldfinger.
I think it's around the time I watched it for
Yeah.
because I started with the Brosnan movies. That was my that was my introductory Bond, and then okay, so I had the box set of the VHS tapes. It was GoldenEye, Tomorrow Never Dies, and The World Is Not Enough. I had those three VHS tapes, and I was so proud. I was like, "Oh, I finally got all the Bond movies." My dad was like, "Oh no, you, you've barely scratched the surface." I was like, Really? And I think Goldfinger was one of the first. I think it was the first, older Bond movie that I watched. And even as a kid, I knew it was older, like old. And but I could still like even as a kid I appreciated what it was.
Yes.
And man, I remember that VHS tape that I got. I wore it out, dude.
Same here. Whenever I was a kid, this is of course back in the days of video rentals. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Mhm.
I remember my mom and I going to like Video Corner. Right there next to McDonald's in Savannah. It's
Oh
now I
yeah,
don't know. It might be a karate
video
dojo or
Yes,
corner.
something now, but
I remember that store being there. Yeah.
yeah, I remember going there and renting all sorts of Bond movies and like whenever I was a kid, I remember everyone talking bad, and I'm going off on a tangent here, but I
That's
remember
fine.
everyone talking bad about Lazenby and Timothy Dalton. But
Mm.
literally, those were some of the first Bond movies I ever saw. I didn't own them, but my mother had rented them for me, and I mean, I liked them from the first time I saw them. So it
Yeah.
always amazed me when people would talk bad about George Lazenby or Timothy
Mm.
Dalton because I thought they were great movies. And this is a side note, but I remember they had a VHS of James Bond Jr. there, and I rented that and watched them.
No
Yes,
way.
watched it
I
whenever I
thought
was a
that
little
was
kid.
wiped from the earth.
Nope. I I remember watching that on that VHS, and even as a kid, I was like, "What the hell is this?" Like it was just so like out there. Like,
I will
but
say something about video game corner or video corners, kid section. Their kid section back in the day was popping because I would go there, and you guys might not know what the hell I'm talking about, but I used to rent VHSs of VR Troopers and what was it, My Superhuman Samurai show or whatever. They're
Yeah.
both like Toei TV series of like tokusatsu fighting shows, like similar to Power Rangers or whatever, and they were like Fox Kids shows. They had those. You couldn't find those anywhere, man. Like that was old stuff, and
yeah.
I'd go in, I'd make my mom rent it for me, and I'd just watch it. I used to love that, and I'm sorry about the tangent, but like
No, you
I
good.
loved I loved that store, and I was
Jonathan,
so sad when they closed.
yeah. Dude, we don't have any video rental stores now. Like,
No.
Mm-mm.
we all know this isn't news to anybody, but they're going. It's a way of the past by now. But I really do
Definitely.
miss the physical
I do too.
going in the store and y'all remember the smell,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That plasticky smell. I don't know. But Jonathan, I had another question for you. Speaking of Ken Adams sets, how do you think those older sets compare to what we get in modern Bond films?
I actually am glad you brought that up. I mean, okay, let's take the only set that I could say. Well, actually, there's two modern Bond sets that I will say that are on the same level as the ones from the old classic continuity.
Mm,
So the set in Spectre,
mm.
the cra-
Oh yeah,
I really
yeah.
liked it. That gave
Uh-huh.
me like Volcano Lair and Crab
Yeah,
Key vibes.
yeah. Now that I'm thinking about it, there's definitely some Ken Adam
Yes.
inspired aspects of that.
And the set from Saffin's Island in No
Hmm.
Time to Die, I thought it
Yeah,
was really nice. I thought it was very Ken Adam like. I
that's a
liked
good
how they
one.
did it. Um, I don't know. It just seems like, and I mean, I like the Craig movies, but man, there is some things that I really do miss.
Yeah, yeah. That's kind of like that's what I was talking about last night. Part of what makes you feel like immersed in this fantastical Bond universe is the sets.
Yes,
Um, and like I'm with you, I like the Craig movies, but they try so hard to ground themselves in our
yeah,
reality that you don't really get that I don't know that escapism feeling.
agree.
I do
Um,
have a question, and this is like jumping all over the place. I'm sorry, guys, but like in this film, Bond says that he says that this is jumping way back in our discussion, but he tells Goldfinger that if he kills him, then uh, dub, 008 will just replace him. Like throughout the franchise, we see 006, of course, and there's mention of 008, but like, are there any other like
Yeah.
00
Um,
agents? That
and
because I haven't seen them all.
and from Russia with Love at maybe, or maybe it's Thunderball.
Thunderball is what you're talking
Okay,
about.
okay, yeah. There's a scene where they're all in a meeting and you
Yeah.
get to see all the double O's. I don't think you get to see all their faces.
You don't.
Okay, but there's definitely it's definitely implied that these are all the double O's.
And there's even a woman that is a 00 in the Thunderball briefing that you're
Okay.
talking about.
Well, if
That's
I'm gonna try really hard this week to get that movie in sometime, and I'm gonna definitely keep that in mind.
Yeah. Also, Colton, 009 is in Octopussy.
okay.
And honestly, if I sit here and thought about it, I could probably think of maybe there's another one. I mean, they'll reference other 00s, but they don't come up that much. Like,
Yeah, they're rarely shown on screen.
yeah,
Well, to Bond's like it helps Bond that I guess that they don't show it the others because it does make him seem like he's really special. Like Bond's special. Like nobody would dispute that. But I feel like if there was a bunch more 00s that just kept showing up in all the movies, it's like, man, there's like 20 of these guys. Like, why is James Bond the most
You know what?
famous one?
You know what my thought has always been on that is they just die all the time.
That makes a lot of sense.
Bond's the only one that's got this sort of well, it's got plot armor.
yeah.
Fair enough.
But that's just always been my theory is the reason you don't see them is because the turnover rate is just so high.
It's like a McDonald's, just cranking out secret agents.
Well, remember in the movie Casino Royale, even Bond says to M, he says, "Well, I understand that the life expectancy is very short for a 00, so your
That
mistake will be short lived." So,
yep, that
Context
exact
clues.
same quote popped into my head as I was talking.
um,
Well, I'm sorry for my little tangent there. I was just
Oh,
like,
no,
that's
really
fine.
curious because I like in other films, I do like they do. I'm just talking about Goldeneye, so I like that part of Goldeneye. So sorry, guys.
Hey,
man.
I got an interesting little piece of trivia for you, Jonathan. Do you know who the first person was to hear the finished score for the film?
I don't
Michael Caine.
really.
Yeah, he
Oh
was
man,
rooming. Yeah, he was rooming with John Barry at the time.
I love
Yeah,
Michael Caine.
I do too.
I think everybody does.
Wasn't
great.
he at one point considered for Bond? I
Yeah,
thought
he
so.
was.
Yeah.
But he didn't want to be typecast because he had played Harry Palmer in the Ipcrest File,
Okay.
which is a movie we all three have to watch, and we have to do that one sometime because it's awesome.
Hey, man.
I cannot picture Michael Caine as Bond.
It's hard to, but I'm gonna have to be honest with you. That's one of my favorite what ifs. I've thought about
Yeah.
that before. Like,
I
man,
know. I'd love to see it.
like a Cockney James
Yeah.
Bond, like it's,
On James Bond Master
yeah.
So I'm down to watch that. Another film we have to do if we have time. Jonathan, you may have seen it, but up until yesterday, I had never seen it before. Goodfellas.
Oh, I love Goodfellas.
It was great. Like, I think we should do a review of that at some point if you
Most
guys want
definitely.
to.
Hey, real quick before we wrap up or get off topic or whatever, I was looking through my bullet points here. I do want to mention the locations, especially since I watched the 4K version. Man, Switzerland is beautiful, dude.
Yes.
Like some of those the shots were their own location. The scene where Tilly is trying to assassinate Goldfinger in particular, where you get to see she's in the foreground and you got Bond in the middle and Goldfinger's at the bottom of this mountain, and then in the background you can kind of see a waterfall. Man, that shot is so pretty. Like Yeah.
Yes, yeah, I think they did. I think they really did the locations good in this movie. Like just, I mean, even the Kentucky part, like,
Yeah.
I mean, I like it. I think, just
Hey,
all,
speaking of locations, so when Felix and his partner are sort of spying on the ranch, and then I think they follow Odd Job at one point. Those scenes were shot in Miami.
oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think I saw a palm tree in one of those scenes.
You are right.
And I was like, nah, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I
You
I
know,
don't know how I didn't even notice that.
But that's why, dude. I swear that's why they had them parked at a KFC, just to really illustrate. Hey, they're in Kentucky right now.
I'm just glad KFC got some some publicity.
I
Man,
love KFC, man.
I can't believe I never noticed that before. It's just weird having KFC tied to James Bond
It
for some.
really
I
is
don't know.
like I guess the producers of the movie just thought KFC was so new and
Yeah.
they just had to put it in there. I don't know, but yeah,
This is a tangent too, but man, I love that 60s architecture. It's so, I don't know, just different.
yes,
It's pretty great.
Mm. And when I brought up them trailing Odd Job, I don't think we really mentioned anything about Mr. Solo.
yeah, we didn't.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting thing to touch on real quick.
Yeah,
What
that was okay. Honest to God, that is one of the dumbest parts of this movie, in my opinion.
I agree.
That whole thing is so stupid. All right, so hear me out. So first thing, Goldfinger is going to kill all of those gangsters anyway. But
Right. Yeah.
why would he put the gold in the car? Get
And
Solo
have to
in the
separate it.
yes. Get Solo in the car, have Odd Job kill him in broad daylight, take them to a car crusher, crush the car with Solo's blood and guts mixed in with the gold, get the block of the and then have to separate
Yep.
it all. Like it's really like just dumb. Like I mean,
There was no point in that whatsoever. That there was for the audience. That's all that was.
yes,
It
like
made me so mad that they crashed that Lincoln.
Oh
Like
yeah.
I love Lincoln Continentals, and when the crane picked up that car, I was ready to fight. I was like, I know they didn't just crash this beautiful car for
I think
no
if you
reason.
Yeah, I think if you look close enough, in that scene, I think they removed the engine from the car. But that is I don't know if that helps you feel better.
Well, I mean, that was that was a common thing they did back in the day anyway, because like they would scrap cars, but like you could resell the engine.
Oh
So
yeah, that's
like,
good. Yeah, okay. That's a good point.
and they swapped the Lincoln Continental out for a Ford Ranchero, or like a Ford version of a El Camino, like
Mm.
yeah,
like
old
going from a
school
Lincoln
Ranchero.
to
Would that truck pull that?
I don't know. I always wondered that too. Like that would be
Because it's yeah. I mean,
heavy as hell.
it's
Like
all it is a condensed car. It's the
yeah,
same weight as a car
Yeah,
was.
and
definitely.
and it's got all the gold in there too.
Yeah,
Like
and
And that a Ranchero is a unibody car. So like they're like whereas a truck would like kind of flex in between the cab and the bed, like it would probably just like slam the whole car
yeah,
anyway.
or
Like there would be
break the
like
frame in half.
yeah, like it would be like screwed pretty much.
Hmm.
but yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah, I remember that too. Halfway through this, I was like, man, we didn't even talk about that pointless scene with Odd Job and Mr. Solo. Like that
Mhm.
was
Well, yeah, it was even though it really didn't serve any purpose. The only thing I can see that it added to the movie is maybe it made the audience feel a little more suspense because Bond's message
yeah.
didn't get out, I guess.
I'll definitely say like I didn't know what the hell was going on. I was like, what?
Yeah,
I
it's
thought Felix was gonna pull him over or something and like catch him, but then like they killed him and then they crushed him and I'm like, well shit.
yeah. I don't know. It was really I don't know. Maybe they're just trying to pad the runtime.
Yeah.
Do you guys know what the runtime was for this film?
I want to say it was like 90 minutes, something like that. Pretty short.
It felt really short
Yeah.
compared to the other, and again, that could go back to pacing. So
Yeah.
Hour and 50 minutes.
Hour and 50.
dang,
Yeah. For a while, this was the shortest Bond film until Quantum of Solace.
Yeah, Quantum of Solace is it's by far the shortest, isn't it? Like it's like how what is it?
I think it's like right at an hour and a half.
Yeah.
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 It couldn't have ended sooner, in my opinion.
You're not a fan?
No, it's actually gotten better with time, in
Yeah.
my opinion.
Yeah.
Of course, when it came out, I want to say it was like 13 or 14. So
Yeah.
they were all good to me.
Yeah.
And then I watched it a little later in my early 20s, and I like the faults were a little more glaring. And the last time I watched it, it seems like the worst part for me is the editing. Like
Yeah, that is the worst part of Quantum, in my opinion.
it's so choppy, but in some scenes it really works.
Yeah.
Like that editing style. If they could just pick and choose where they used it, because I don't know, for the most part, the movie just feels really disjointed, and I think it's because of that editing style.
Well, is there anything else you guys have to say about the one, the only Goldfinger?
10 out of 10 is my final.
10 out of 10 as well.
That's my final thought.
I think the movie was absolutely shocking.
Positively shocking.
There you go.
Positively shocking.
Yeah.
I loved it.
I think out of the three, Dr. No from Rush with Love and Goldfinger, I think this one is the most polished.
Agreed.
Like this one feels the most like this one is like wrapped up real nice with a neat bow on top. Like it's just it's I really don't want to use the word perfect, but I don't know how else to describe it. It's like the perfect Bond movie.
I agree 100%.
I'll say for me it's perfect. Like I think this is going to be the cornerstone that I compare all of the other Bond films to from now on.
Yeah, there's about 3 or 4 that I would say is perfect, and Goldfinger is one of them.
Yeah, dude. And yeah, this is what I was gonna say. It's perfect so far, and man, wait till you get to Moonraker. It's a masterpiece.
Masterpiece.
Okay.
So, Colton Flatt and Caleb Mabry, where can we find you guys? Colton, give us your Twitter name, my boy.
Oh man. So you can find me on Twitter at Amaranger4x4. Like AMARANGER 4x4. I'm telling you guys, if you go on there, it's probably just going to be all DC and maybe a little bit of James Bond and some Star Wars, but mostly DC and mostly me complaining about DC. And I apologize. I'm also on Facebook as Colton Flatt. I'm sorry, John.
All right. Don't apologize, man. I mean, you got to fight the good fight wherever it might be.
I'm just passionate, I guess. I'm sorry, guys.
And Caleb Mabry, where can we find you?
YouTube, just search Break Shop Billiards, or you can just type my name in the search bar. Type my name in the search bar if you see pool tables in the thumbnails, and you found me.
And with me, you can find me on YouTube for Your Eyes Only. And on Twitter, I'm Jonathan Lynham on there. That's where you can find me on there. So comment, like, subscribe, share us out there. And we'll see you next week. What?
Leave us a review.
Yeah, leave us a review, guys. Let us know how we did. Did we do bad? Did we do good? Did we go off on too many tangents? Yes,
too many tangents.
But I mean, that's what we're here for. And next week we'll be here with Thunderball. And I've been Jonathan Lynham.
Colton Flatt.
Caleb Mabry.
We will see you guys next time. Thank you for being here with us for Goldfinger.
Come back for your ears only, a Bondcast.